On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, the undynamic duo will finally be back together to talk all things relevant Star Wars, starting with a detailed breakdown of the rather excellent finale Part 1 Episode 4, The Bad Batch. They'll then make some bad guesses about the Season 1 finale episode airing this week, and they'll also let you know how they feel about the show getting a second season. After Bad Batch time, the dudes have a Kenobi series exclusive for you regarding Kumail Nanjiani's character. Upcoming Star Wars games will get some time on the show too, as well as the latest round of the new high-end figures from Hot Toys and Sideshow Collectibles. The show will end with Fan Question of the Week responses and this week's edition of the Top 5 Star Wars Fan Artist Features. Punch it, Chewie! Hey now, everybody! Guess who's back? That's right, it is a Star Wars Time Show, and while I am here and Nick is here, none of you other slackers are here, as we can see in the live stream. I mean, we never give anyone notice when we're doing this shit. We did miss last week because I was kind of out taking some personal time, so I get it. And, you know, our fans in general, they're like us. They're lazy assholes. They don't really, we're not appointment listening or appointment live streaming for many of you, which is fine. And it's usually because of me. I get it. I'm trying my best to become a better broadcaster for those of you that hate my guts and have since left the Star Wars Time Show. But we're back. We're playing to an audience of no one, which is fine. It's kind of like the old days, right, Nick? I mean,
yeah. We
used to just talk, you and me, and no one would be in the room listening, and that's kind of where we're at right now. Did you tell these assholes?
I rather did.
Did you?
I just put something up on the IG, so people should see it shortly. But I rathered that. I would rather just talk to you. You know, when you got fans, then you got people that complain, and then they want stuff, and then they want us to make hats and don't buy them.
Boy, that was one of the biggest mistakes we've ever made, right? Was doing the hats.
Hey, we sold some. There are still some available. If you wear a size small to medium in hats, you can go to StarWarsTime.net and pick up an official Star Wars Time logo hat.
Hopefully the store still works, because there's been so many WooCommerce updates since it did function, and I haven't tested shit because I'm like, no one's buying these stupid hats anymore, so who cares if the store works or not? So I've just randomly cowboy style been uploading WordPress plugins for our store, so who knows if it even functions. But he's right. Hey, we got one guy. Yeah, Klondike. Welcome to the party, pal.
Klondike's here. That's all.
Don't mind the tumbleweeds flowing through the streaming room right there, because it is dead. But doesn't matter. We got some stuff to talk about. I'm happy to be back. I never like not doing the show with Nick for too long, and you know we weren't supposed to have a 2-week break of us not doing the 2-man Star Wars Time Show. But we all know the saga of Nick's new home purchase. So the week that I was here, right before I took my break, I interviewed Visual Approach, Sean. It was a good talk. But the reason Nick couldn't join us is because he was coming back, or he was dealing with the floor saga that he brought up a few weeks ago on the show, and it was super loud in his workspace. And I believe it still has not been resolved, right? I mean, they fucked up your toilets and all that stuff. Like toilets don't sit right.
Yeah, so one of our toilet downstairs, we're gonna have one of the guys come out and look at it, because basically they cut the floor too short, so the toilet is like mounted, but there's still like just a big gap in the floor where there's no floor right before the toilet.
Oh my God.
So they're going to have to, basically from what we've heard, they're going to have to take up the toilet again, take out the sink again, and then kind of, I don't know if they're going to have to fully redo that bathroom or just try to like fill in.
I mean, are you guys ready to sell your house yet at this point? Like, you ready to just go back to renting?
At this point, it's one of those things where it's like we're getting so close to like having the house exactly how we wanted it for so long that it's like
yeah,
we're right
you might as well just ride it out, right?
Close.
You're just riding it out.
House prices in Austin, Texas have gone up so much that we've made so much money.
That's what I mean. You might as well just sell this money pit now, because isn't the warranty over?
So yeah, the warranty's over. Luckily, we've become very chummy with the warranty master over here in our community. So I can still, poke him a little bit every now and then to get stuff.
I mean, he's probably going to be invited to Christmas dinner with how much time you've spent on the phone with this guy, right?
I've told him. Well, like he comes by the house and stuff too to like look at all the issues. And
that's what I mean. He's going to be a family friend.
Yeah, I'm like Greg. You've been over here to our house more than anybody that we know. Like any of our friends, any of our family, like you've been in our house more than any of them.
Well, buddy, I can tell you it doesn't get any better with age, because I returned home from our trip and I come down to the basement and it had a must smell that when it mixes with the cat room, it just ends up smelling like cat piss. And so I'm like, I know what this means. And sure enough, the basement still leaking.
Oh no!
It's leaking on one of the walls over there, so it's probably a fucking foundation problem, which is probably going to be $20,000. And it's just, dude, it's like I said. I mean, it's just every year I've owned a home, I've had to pay for something or fix something or have my wife fix something, because I'm not really that manly in this house. And I've owned a home since 2009. It's never ending. It's never ending. Now we have to replace the deck, and then she wants a patio and maybe a pool, and the roof is leaking and the basement's leaking. So I hope this last round gets you there, but just to kind of burst your bubble, it never ends. Home ownership outside of what we're dealing with right now, where people have made some cash if they've decided to sell in this crazy market. But outside of that, all the adults in our lives lied to us. It's a fucking nightmare to own a house. It's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, that's one thing you told me that has rung true, is that like if you once you own a home, just like set aside X amount of money every year to like pay for all the shit that goes wrong with it.
Yeah.
Luckily, we haven't had to pay for it yet because we're under warranty, but I can already see that once the warranty is truly over and they stop doing stuff for us for free, then we're
you know it's going to happen. It's like Murphy's Law. As soon as that shit ends or runs out, the huge stuff is going to, like, one of your fucking main walls will just fall over. Like you'll just be sitting there and the fucking wall will tip over.
It's something bad will happen, guaranteed. But so that's the floor's still going on. But hopefully it won't be much longer.
Dude,
until it's all
I don't mean to laugh, but sometimes you just have to with your saga over this past year. So wild. We've all had crazy 2020s and even 2021s, but Nick's starting from the end of 19 has been pretty much nothing but a shit show.
Yeah, it's been pretty fucking crazy.
Losing jobs you're supposed to get because of COVID, then just not getting new jobs, not working, moving in a new house that breaks down every other week.
Yeah, it's been wild. And for those of you who don't know, like having people in your house for a week straight is the most exhausting thing ever. It
sucks. It's not like, I'm telling you, man, owning a house outside of the tax shit and the potential to make money blows because of, hey, you got a house, let's come over and hang. You don't want to hang out with people for that long. I don't care if they're friends or family. I mean, I had my family here for July 4th, and within 2 days, I'm like, okay, let's stop this shit. All right, I'm pretty sure I have COVID. I need to go into quarantine. Let's stop.
Yeah, time for y'all to get the hell out. But yeah,
I'm such a happy person.
At least for the last week or so, we've been alone in our home for a while. All of our facilities are functional. They may not be at the optimum level of function, but they're functional. Yeah. So
as long as you two aren't like shitting in a hole or something, I'm happy to hear that. That's good.
We're good. So, but hey, man, me and Matt are back talking Star Wars. It's like we were saying, it's been like 3 weeks since we've had like a full on regular just the bros show. It's been
and I missed it, and that's why I did that little. I had to with War Mantle, and I knew it. I knew an episode titled War Mantle was going to require my narcissistic Star Wars OCD takes. And then finale part 1, we'll get into talking about that. That just continued the excellent final run of the Bad Batch. I know some people have been down on the series, but shit. 14, 15, 16 may go down as some of the best animated Star Wars. Just everything. Design, atmosphere, storytelling, dialogue, music. But we'll get into that. A few other things I've just been thinking about since I've been gone, Nick. Not fully Star Wars related, really not Star Wars related at all. But I have to say that, and I've been sending this to Nick in our DMs and Slack, and I've seen the special on Netflix or whatnot, but I am thoroughly addicted to Bo Burnham's Inside soundtrack. I listen to it every day on vacation. It was the vacation. You know how when you go on a vacation, especially to the beach, you typically find like a theme CD or a theme playlist. For me, it was Inside, even though it's probably not the best to play around the 5-year-old because there is some swearing. There's
naughty language.
Smelling Like Shit song, which was one of her favorites, but she still looks at me like, I mean, Nick, she's starts kindergarten fucking Friday, all right? So she's fully formed. And she looks at me like little kids do when they hear that stuff, like, this is funny, but I know I probably shouldn't be looking at this, so why are you letting me listen to this, Dad? Like, why are you such a bad influence on me, Dad?
Daddy, this is bad words.
It's just, it's not, I don't know. I encourage anyone, if you haven't seen the special, watch it. And you're probably going to be watching it going, why the fuck did he tell me to watch this? This is really odd, but I feel like I'm watching something special. And I, at this point in time, I have come to the conclusion that what Bo Burnham did with Inside, it's a masterpiece. Yeah, it is a one-man content creation masterpiece. You watch this guy, you listen to this guy lose his mind over a year, questioning who he is as a white man, as a comedian, the pandemic stuff, dealing with moms on FaceTime, white women on Instagram. It's fan-fucking-tastic. And it's like right now I'm hearing the song Comedy in my head. Healing the world through comedy. It's brilliant. I'm going to stop there, go watch it first if you haven't seen it, and then cue up the soundtrack on Spotify or whatever streaming audio platform you subscribe to. It's just, you're going to laugh. You're going to sit there and think about what he's saying, because even though I don't want to compare him to like an Adam Sandler comedy singer, but that's, I guess, what Bo does. I never knew who Bo was before Inside. He was like one of the first YouTube stars that went viral for, probably singing slightly mean or racist shit about his family. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, his
old stuff, like, if you only watch Inside, because if you go back, he has a couple other comedy specials on Netflix. Those other ones are a little rough. It's very...
But Nick, in Inside, I think that's what he's trying to tell us. He's like a white man doing this, and can I actually heal the world through comedy? Was I doing the right thing as a white man? Was I part of it? Yeah. I know some of you get really crazy when we talk about race and stuff. It's like, just grow up, and it's all poignant stuff to listen to. And I don't know. It's a fucking masterpiece, and it's a comedic album. It makes no sense, but if you think about what we all went through during the pandemic, which, by the way, is essentially back in full at this point in time, just in case you've kept your head in the sand like an ostrich, but it's fully fucked. I just read an article today that Nixon, like Shittsville in Austin, I guess like the hospital situation down there is beyond dire. So it's probably a good thing him and Taylor just are staying home right now, fixing their house, because otherwise they'd probably get Delta. My fucking brother-in-law got Delta right before I saw him. He's vaccinated from you fuckface selfish cunts out there that won't wear a mask even though you're unvaccinated around vaccinated people. But anyways, Inside, it's crazy. And as Connor's saying in the chat, it's even the special that's why I say you got to watch the special first, because you've got to realize that it's one dude in a small home apartment, probably out in LA, that does everything, writes the songs, films the scenes, script. It's just brilliant to me.
It was.
But I've really latched onto the soundtrack, and it's one of my favorite albums of all time. I mean, it's good music, funny lyrics, and sometimes lyrics that will kind of make you think. So there you go. There's Inside. The other thing I want to leave you with before we actually get into Star Wars talk on the Star Wars Time Show is a rather excellent documentary I've been watching on HBO Max called The 100-Foot Wave. And Nick, the only reason I got into this, I don't fucking surf. Sure, I love the ocean. I love swimming in the ocean, all that fun stuff. Yeah. But just when I was on my trip, sitting in a hotel, flicked it on, and just got hooked because it's about a big wave surfer named Grant McNamara or something like that.
Okay.
And the dude like is surfing 80-foot. It's just fucking mind-boggling to see what these guys do, their philosophies on life, and all that stuff. And I'm hooked. I guess it's a live series right now. I think 4 episodes are in the can, with new ones coming on Sundays or whenever HBO drops their series stuff. So that's kind of what I've been getting into. Not a lot of games these days. I've taken a break from that. Clearly, I've retired from toy photography. So I basically just listen to Inside and think about life as a white man.
Yeah. Speculative time for Matt. Yeah, I mean...
Connor's got another one. The internet song. That's the Welcome to the Internet. Shit.
Welcome. I mean, like all like white woman's Instagram is another fucking bop.
White
I love that song. It was so good. I mean, like Taylor and I watched that, and you're right. Like, there's just moments where you're like laughing, contemplating life. It's the perfect one. I'll definitely check out the 100-Foot Wave though, because we love documentary series.
It's great. It's shot really well. The people are very interesting. They're not like the totally stoking tubular type, you know. But I mean, they're still that. Hey, I need to become one and visualize with the world, and then the waves will come to. I mean, they're still pretty fucking far out.
Heavy,
But I mean, essentially, this guy goes to Nazaré in Portugal. No one had ever surfed it. They're like, fuck you, that's crazy. And he starts surfing it and then proves to everyone, all the big wave surfers, like, no, this is it. This is where you're going to get the biggest waves in the world. And I don't know, it's just been very interesting. So it's been nice to...
Cocaine one too on Netflix. Check it out. Cocaine Cowboys. New documentary series, 6 episodes.
It's just been nice watching shows again and actually watching them, because I've become such a multitasker, an entertainment multitasker, a multimedia multitasker. I'm sure you're the same way, where you're like, oh, you know, I want to watch a show, but I'm still going to fuck off on my phone and maybe play some games or check the news. So you're not really dedicating yourself to either medium, right?
Yeah,
I do it all the time at night. I'll throw on like a random old Star Trek TV show, and I just kind of sit there and I'll play my Galaxy Heroes rounds. And I don't really get anything out of the show because I'm not paying attention. I don't really get much out of the game because it feels like a job. So it's been nice to these past couple of days on break, just like a fucking slug. I mean, just laying on my couch watching TV like a piece of shit. But it's felt awesome. I mean, it's felt really good to kind of just focus on one thing for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are like that, where it's like you have your brain is just constantly a buzz, no matter if it's like time for you to go to bed or fucking time for you to wake up. It's just like there's so many things going through your head that like focusing on one thing is actually pretty nice.
I love smartphones, but I fucking hate them due to what they've turned me into and humans in general. It's just it's ruined life. It's ruined life. Like, I'll even find myself around my kid who's going back to daycare. So this is an emotional week for me. Our last week together. I've been with my kid every waking day since March of 2020. Big Daddy and little Charlie every day. So it's going to kill me. But even still, this week, our last moments, I'll find myself sitting on the couch with her on my fucking phone. Yeah. With her looking at me like, you cocksucker, and I'm going to make her another one of me because she's always sees mom and dad doing this shit. So she thinks it's normal.
Maybe when she grows up and like gets old enough to have like a phone, we'll be beyond that. We'll just have like brain chips.
Oh, we'll all be dead. I mean, you saw that climate report that just came out. I mean, my kids, kids of my generation, they're not going to have time to be fucking off with luxury and entertainment. They're going to be worried about if they're, if the summer is going to catch them on fire or not in Alaska. Yeah. So I don't know if they'll have to worry about that. But no, dude, she already is fixated. My mom bought her like a little fake phone on this trip, and every time we had ours out, she'd pull hers out just to be like the adults. I was like, we fucking suck. Yeah, I am a failed parent already, and she's only 5 years old. So I don't know.
Hey, I'm not going to talk better than most other parents.
All right. Who knows? I mean, at least she understands that a lot of the words Daddy says and the music he listens to should never be repeated by someone of her age. That's at least been made clear. But she definitely she's like, can you play the one song where he says shh? I'm like, okay. Like she already knows how to censor herself. I also caught her, people will love this. I might get turned over to protective services here, but I caught her going, F, do what you tell me. F, do what you tell me. I'm like, what is she saying? I'm like, oh, now I got it. She's doing Killing in the Name Of, because that's another song we listen to. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. And she's just going, F you, I won't do. I'm like, oh my God, what have I done right before kindergarten?
That's so perfect.
But no, it's not going to be not going to be an easy transition this Friday. I have a feeling this sappy, bearded face little man is going to get a little emotional.
Yeah. There's going to be some waterworks. It's coming.
It just, I mean, if you think about it, people in my situation, dual working parents, never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd get to watch my kid essentially grow up at home, right? Yeah. She was in daycare from the moment my wife went off maternity until the pandemic. The first 3 years of her life, almost 4, were in daycare with parents working. So the fact that I got to spend almost 2 years, a year and a half with her, watching her, literally her whole age 4 to 5, I got to be with her. And a lot of parents in my situation don't get to do that. So as fucky as all this has been, that's been one of the, I guess, bonuses. But it is going to work me over because, I don't know. I mean, it's just, I've gotten into such a routine with her. Heather's already been back to work. Charlie's going this Friday. I get my 2 weeks of break next 2 weeks. I'm going to be sitting here literally rotating on my thumb, talking to the cats and wondering what I'm doing with my life. Like, I'm going to feel so fucking lonely, but I guess that could be a good time to get back to some toy photography, or at least organizing my shelves so these high-end beauties quit getting dust all over them.
There you go. You see, get back into it. You got a lot of time to fill. You can figure out some setups. You can finally shoot some of those toys that have been piling
up. I have a lot of big plans, Nick, but I have a feeling none of them are going to get executed. I'll probably just be like a woe is me type. I want to see a lot of movies I missed last week. I know Suicide Squad's out there, The Green Knight's out there. I still want to see Jungle Cruise because I love The Rock. We saw that. It's probably decent, right? It's probably rock decent.
It's rock decent. To me, it was like, so basically they kind of took the Pirates of the Caribbean approach to it, like very similar in terms of like story detail. But yeah, I mean, it's good. To me, it was like probably like 15 minutes too long because it's like 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Right.
It probably didn't need to be that long, but it was still entertaining. Like I thought it was.
I don't know, man. I'm a rock homer. I love Emily Blunt, so I plan to see that too. But I mean,
they have a good dynamic.
There's a lot of stuff coming out, at least over these 2 weeks. So if things don't, I mean, let's face it, nothing's shutting down here, even though the virus is more prevalent in society than it was before the vaccine. But this country is not ever going to go back to doing the right thing. Just it can't do it. So
I don't think that we'll ever go back to a lockdown thing again. At this point, it's like police yourself, and that's how they're going to handle it.
Live free or die. So if I go back to the theaters, it's definitely, and I've been wearing my mask anyways because does this what has happened with the virus and the vaccine? Does it surprise anyone that has a brain? I don't think so. I mean, I know Nick is much more optimistic than me, so probably back in May when everything was looking positive, he was probably feeling positive, but I'm sitting there going like, there's no fucking chance in hell this lasts in America because all these fucking idiots that we live with that don't believe in science and have chosen politics over doing the right thing and being selfish. And look, here we are. It's just as bad as it was pre-vaccine, and if not worse, because of Delta. So speaking of Delta Squad, I didn't get to talk about them because I missed the War Mantle breakdown, but I am here to break down all things Bad Batch S1 E15, aka this one has multiple AKAs by the way. AKA Finale Part 1, and then they tricked us, AKA Return to Camino. I doubt anyone else picked up on that, but in your menu, Disney Plus, they just called it Finale Part 1. But once you got into the episode, it actually gave us the proper bumper there to get the title Return to Camino. And boy, Nick, was it a return to the birthplace of the clones, cloning technology, Attack of the Clones, you name it, the deleted planet, Obi-Wan getting schooled by younglings over deleted planets, but Camino. So, all right, we haven't done this as a team in a while, so I guess I'll kind of brief how we do it. We typically go through and we each give our overall opinion of the episode, and then we'll start doing the dorky deep dive into it. Easter eggs, references, and key moments you probably should have paid attention to and what they could mean for future episodes of Bad Batch or just Star Wars lore in general. So Nick, Finale Part 1... I said last week War Mantle was probably the best episode of the season, and I still hold it up there. But I think overall, Finale Part 1 / Return to Camino may have eked it out at this point in time as one of the better episodes of Season 1 of the Bad Batch. For different reasons, it was kind of the complete package to me for the first time. It had... obviously an amazing score. It used silence perfectly. It used John Williams' music from AOTC perfectly. It had some of the best dialogue in animated Star Wars. That exchange between Hunter and Crosshair is probably how things should have went between Obi-Wan and Anakin. I mean, that's how that whole scene felt to me. It was like Crosshair is Anakin. He, you know, like Nick said, took the heroin and is kind of lost his mind. And you got Hunter, who's a little more even-keeled Kenobi style, but we'll get into that mirrored action when we get into our key moments. But it was just great. I mean, honestly, it could have served as the finale. It would have been a great little cliffhanger. I feel like things were put to bed, at least. It satisfied me. Like, if 15 was the end, I'd have been like, wow, what an ending. What a cliffhanger. I can't wait to season 2, which we now know is confirmed. So big fan of Finale Part 1. But I have plenty more to say on some of the key moments and some of the things that I think will pop up in season 2 and beyond, if not in other Star Wars projects. So, buddy, I know you do yours fresh. How did you feel coming out of your screening today?
So I think that you hit on a lot of things. I definitely agree. It's a top 2 episode of this season, right? Either on par, slightly behind, or slightly above War Mantle. But it does feel like this could have been just like the end of the series, because it answered so many questions in a part 1 of a finale. Like, usually you don't feel like this fulfilled in terms of like, okay, I know where we're sitting until the last episode's over. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do next, because the next one is the last one for a year. And like you said, you watched this one and you were like, okay, cool, I'm good right until 2022.
Totally.
And they jammed so much in there. I mean, like, even in the Easter egg reference stuff like you were talking about, but also in like the story progression, because one of the big questions that always comes up is like, Camino, why does nobody ever talk about Camino, blah blah blah. And like for like hardcore fans, you figured that something like this happened, but like seeing it happen was really awesome. And then, you know, the ultimate moment, like that question that's been burning in the back of our head, or that moment that's been burning in the back of our head since Crosshair initially left the batch, finally happened, and it turned it on its head. Like, you had like the twist that came in that moment, I don't think anybody was expecting. So,
I mean, he did get a slight. I'm going to take a little credit. Let's take a little credit. There was a slight redemption moment for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It just didn't play out the way we thought. So, I mean, and again, we'll talk about in the key moments, but I believe at this point, Crosshair has a fork in the path for his character and where the writers could take him. It's either sticking with he'll ultimately redeem through sacrifice, or through working with his team again, they're going to try to recondition him, kind of like Luke had to do with Vader.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, again, we still have 22 minutes of content left. I mean, Crosshair could be dead at the end of season 1 still. We don't know. So that's kind of what I was saying earlier. Like, part 1 could have been the true season finale, and I think we all would have been happy. But there's still more story to tell. So while we can speculate and predict like we usually do, we still have a little more content that could obviously torpedo any of our predictions from today. But it was good stuff. As Nick was saying with Tipicoa City, I mean, there's no clear sign that the Empire has moved on from cloning to conscription when they blow at the fucking smithereens. I mean, that was the cloning facility. That's it. They're done with it. I mean, I think that was my favorite part of this episode, was just how hard they just threw it in our face. Like, hey, people, guess what? The fucking Clone Wars are over. We are fully into the Empire era now. Boom. It's done. Yep. And that's what this episode was to me. It was a hard turn of the page. Like, that is the true, and I said it in my video breakdown, which I'd love for people to check out on YouTube. Find us on YouTube, Star Wars Time Show. But it's like, this was the true end of the Clone Wars era. It was over at the end of finale part 1. We are now truly going to start branching off into uncharted young Empire territory. And it was beautifully done. And it was that last montage at the end, right, where they just showed almost in silence the flashes of the Camino, like where the tubes were for the babies in the mess hall, all the scenes that were so bustling and populated in AOTC and in the first episode of this show itself. Just desolate, gone, and it made you feel like this is it. This is the end of an era of Star Wars that a lot of fans fucking love, and it's now fully moved into the beginnings of the original trilogy era. So just a beautiful episode. So let's go through some of the eggs and references to see if we caught any that you did not. I mean, the first one was right in your ears, as I like to say.
The music was perfect.
I mean, it was the straight up same score they used when Kenobi showed up on Camino for the first time. And it was kind of it was foreshadowing, right? Like, I mean, it was just eerie. The whole episode felt eerie from the get-go. I mean, we were already on edge. We knew Hunter was captured, what was going to happen, blah, blah, blah. But I loved getting that call back to AOTC.
Yeah.
This one I put as an egg reference, but I also want to talk about what this could mean for Nala Se moving forward. But we got to see the lab where Omega, Boba Fett, and Clone Force 99 were created. It was a special lab underwater that only Nala Se could access. So she is way more key than many people have probably thought. I mean, throughout the first season, I've been kind of highlighting her like, look, she's not like Tan Wee. She's not like Lama Su, blah, blah, blah. Rampart wanted her. Tarkin even said, oh, hey, we got her good. So, I mean, this confirms that the Empire got their cloning tech for Palpatine, for whatever's happening in The Mandalorian, from the Kaminoans, directly from Nala Se. So I think that
what I thought about this moment too was interesting is the way, like, you actually screenshot the words too on StarWarsTime.net. If you look at the breakdown, your mutations were enhanced here. It's not that, like, so basically what I take that as is, okay, you had this, the cloning facility was going as usual. They had these defective clones, and it probably happens relatively often. But instead of discarding them, like, Nala Se took those clones in particular to her lab
and gave them superpowers.
Yeah, like basically turned them into super soldiers. And I thought that was super interesting that she would be so selective about, like, not just taking all of the, like, the clones that had some sort of issue, like picking them in particular and enhancing their mutations, not trying to fix them.
Right.
Like she actually just turned them into like these hyper focused, hyper saturated, mutated clones.
I think it was a great scene to, it was a cool reference. I love the lore. It was nice to see this is where it all happened. This is where baby Boba was born. Oh, I could see Django holding him there saying, "Oh, look at you. I can't wait to put a little helmet on your head." But I think no one should be sleeping on Nala Se at this point in time. I don't think she's gone from the show. In fact, at the end of this episode, like I said, Tarkin and Rampart make sure to, yep, we got her. We got all the secrets. We know how. We'll be able to clone, essentially. So that's just a nod to future Star Wars and Snoke and all that shit. It came from Nala Se. I think we can say that definitively at this point in time. The Empire's cloning technology and Palpatine's use of it came from Nala Se and the Kaminoans, and we see how they got it. They fucking kidnapped her and then blew up her city. So I don't think Nala Se's gone. I mean, she could definitely play some alternate roles in this narrative. There's a good chance she's still trying to help Omega, even being a prisoner of the Empire. Yeah. But this room, again, like I said, it was a nice little lore nugget, if not some foreshadowing for what Nala Se could be doing for the Empire. We went back to the training room. So literally full circle for this series itself, because we started episode 1 in the training room when Tarkin was testing him. And again, it was used here as part of Crosshair's ruse to try and talk the Bad Batch into becoming Imperial henchmen, essentially. So yeah, I threw it in there just because this episode was light on eggs and references anyways. But this was a kind of good one, and I don't know if people picked up on it, but I saw the diss around the room, and it was like right when Wrecker realized it, I was like, oh shit. Yeah. I remember these things because we saw him use these in the final season of the Clone Wars when he takes out what seems like a battalion of B-1s in a hallway after he strategically placed these bolt reflection discs. So that was kind of a nice little reference to his skills and some of the tech that Crosshair used before he went Walter White on everybody. Yeah. And the best one, the most clear egg reference, we get our boy Tarkin dropping his favorite line, "You may fire when ready."
Okay.
So
before we move on, did you, the droids, I looked at those, and the first thing I thought was those are proto Dark Troopers.
Well, the reason I didn't cover those, Nick, they actually used them in the first episode. So we, but
did we mention that? We might.
We definitely mentioned it. So you should probably stop hitting your CBD at night so much.
I was wondering because I was like, man. Yeah, I was like, geez. I guess it's been 15 weeks and my brain deletes things after 3 days.
Oh yeah,
so
it's been filed to the recycle bin, so no worries there. But the episode really wasn't heavy on eggs and references. I think they were meaningful. I mean, obviously the Tarkin one was the fan service, if you will. It's always good to listen to that guy deliver a line that is intended to murder at least a few people. And I mean, at this point, has the Empire essentially committed genocide on the Kaminoans? I mean, where'd they take them all? Probably to a slave camp.
I don't know what good they would be in a slave camp because they're not like workers. They're they're like scientists.
Yeah.
And if you don't want that kind of like science out there, then I imagine that they just completely like wiped them
Probably
out. They're
wipe
all
them
dead.
out, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew they took out Lama Su, and Tom Wee got taken out by Fennec, so all the other ones were ancillary anyways. They probably just dumped them into the ocean.
Yeah, they're gone, so.
All right, so moving into some of the key moments that you may have missed or that could have impact on the show down the line, or just Star Wars in general. I appreciated getting that scene early on between, I think, ESO2, Elite Squad Trooper 2, and Rampart, where she's like, listen, man, I don't fucking trust Crosshair or any of these fucking clones anymore. So you could even, you were starting to see that the conscripted soldiers were starting to become uncomfortable around the clone soldiers. Another reason, probably why they get wiped out. And, you know, we talked about this with the Hauser episode. If clones are starting to get free will back, then yeah, I mean, they're not all going to be like Crosshair or those other regs that locked up Hauser because they feel like fighting for the Empire is the right thing to do. So you could tell the conscripted soldiers, Rampart, they had enough. They're like, all right, we gave this a year or whatever. I mean, what do you think? How much time do you think passed at this point, Nick, from episode 1 to 15?
Yeah, dude, I wouldn't
especially
even say
based on. I'll give you based on the almost the beef that Crosshair had with Hunter. Like, why didn't you guys come back, or you guys left me?
Yeah, I would say like 8 months. I would say like sub 1 year, because I feel like if it was a year, then we would have seen a little bit more like maturity from like maturing in terms of age from Omega.
Okay.
And I feel like, so like I would say like 6 to 8 months max. And I mean, it's just because it's hard to track time, especially in the episodes where they're dealing with Sid. You don't know how much downtime you have between each one. But I would say sub 1 year. But yeah, I mean, the fact that like never did I think that like Crosshair would hold a grudge against them for like not coming back for him.
Yeah, and that's really the next key moment. I was kind of surprised that he felt betrayed. I mean, at this point in time, I thought he was like Dr. Death. You know, he didn't give a fuck. He was Darth Vader. Like there was no clone humanity left in his head. He was a machine. He was just ready to kill. But I mean, there were multiple exchanges in this episode between he and Hunter where he's like, bro, you left me. You guys fucking betrayed me, essentially. Like, you guys are the ones that broke the directive. Like, you never came back for me.
It's an interesting perspective, because like it goes back to the George Lucas mantra of point of view. Like, he's always talked about in Star Wars that everything that you look at, every interaction that happens in the movies or the shows is different depending on whose point of view you're looking at it from. So like us seeing everything happen so far through the lens of the Bad Batch, like through mainly the lens of Hunter, Wrecker, and Tech and Echo, now you kind of get to see the opposite side of that. You get to see the other point of view from Crosshair's end, and you don't like. We never even thought that he would feel bad, like you said. We assumed that once he turned sides, that he had essentially just been like, yeah, of course they're not going to come back for me. Like, they're my enemies now. I
was definitely surprised that I don't want to say. I mean, I guess it was emotion, but he just in this episode he became Anakin to me, that type of character, right? Always kind of had a dark side to him, but was on the side of good. But then, Crosshair, he was not happy with their decision to not kill Caleb Doom, even before they tweaked his chip. But like Anakin, he kind of embraced that darker side once they tweaked him. Now we learned that he's just fucking crazy anyways. Yeah. But he's trying to like relate to these guys, and that was the next key moment where Crosshair, and again the exchange in the training room reminded me of the exchange on the landing platform of Mustafar, where they're both, as Nick said, explaining their point of view. And we know Hunter's right, but Crosshair 100% believes in what he's saying, just like Anakin did to Padme. Like, listen, I am right. The Jedi fucked up. I've had my eyes opened to this by the Emperor. You and we can rule this galaxy the way we want to. He even tries it on Luke, 20 years down the road. Listen, you and we can do this. I know how to do it the right way. Fuck the Emperor. And that's exactly what we got from Crosshair. He's like, listen, the Empire is protected through strength, and we were made for strength. Mm-hmm. And then obviously we get the slight coup, which was kind of a surprise. I mean, he's like, listen, guys, I'm with you. I will show you through an act. I've murdered the elite squad. Yeah. I want you guys to join me, and we will bring an end to this empire. Is that type of shit. I mean, he really like I said, the whole Anakin Vader vibes were strong with Crosshair in this episode.
Yeah, I mean the moment that you mentioned too, like finding out that he had his chip removed, was like a huge reveal, honestly, because like through this whole show, we're like, man, they're really fucking juicing him up. Maybe if they get their hands on him and like all that wears off, they can remove his chip. It'll be normal. But like you find out that his chip was actually removed, and that like he actually just believes this shit. Like he just believes that what he's doing with the Empire is the right thing to do, and it completely changes your perspective on that character. And like you said, now that he's captured, it's going to take a lot of work to get him to a point where they're like, dude, like a lot of therapy sessions are going to have to happen with Crosshair, something, because it's not easy now. It's not just like, oop, cut it out, pull it out. All right, done. And
well, here's the deal. And I don't know
the whole story.
I know you watched these right before here, so I don't know if you can remember how you felt, but watching this episode and listening to all of his grievances, if you will, against Hunter and the Batch, there was a part of me I was like, I think we may find out that his chip is fucked up or something. Like he does not, even those emotions of like, why'd you leave me? It's like that didn't seem like a clone who had his chip juiced up to be a murder machine. You know what I mean? So when he did reveal that it was removed, I was a bit surprised, but I feel like it was kind of teased the entire episode. But if you, I think I took a shot of it. Yeah, I had my chip removed a long time ago.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, people, I didn't include the image. It doesn't look like it. I actually think if you look where his head was damaged from the cruiser blast, that very well could have been the moment where the chip was either removed or completely destroyed, because they show it when he's on the ground. Like he's got that same scarring right where the chip would have been, where Wrecker has like burn scars on his face.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people are like, oh, how the fuck are we ever going to find out how he got his chip removed? Bullshit. It's like, okay, guys, we don't need to see. It's like Boba Fett's armor. Yeah. It's like, okay, him just telling us that it's gone is probably fine. But if you look at the signs they give you, the fact that he took direct trauma to the head and had to have a Dengar wrap for a little bit, you could argue that's probably when the chip had to be removed or was just fucking destroyed. Or jacked. So, but no, it was, I mean, Crosshair became a super dynamic character out of nowhere. I mean, to me, he was like a robot. And then this episode, he kind of had his Dr. Phil moment. He got on the couch, kind of laid down how he felt and what he thinks they all should do moving forward. And it clearly doesn't jive with the rest of the batch. But it was a shining dark moment for Crosshair. It really made him more of a dynamic character than just the evil bad guy of season 1. Yeah,
I mean it does. Crosshair has become a villain almost unlike a lot that we've seen in Star Wars. Like usually there's like a very clear line between like this guy is a bad guy and this guy is a good guy. I mean, you kind of had that middle ground with, like you mentioned, with Anakin.
Yeah, and that's why I keep going back to it, Nick. It's just,
but everybody else is like, it's really like Anakin's the only one who's in the middle, and then Ben Solo is the only one that was in the middle in the sequel trilogy. Right. Everybody else is like bad, good, and that was it. Like,
I mean, it is, and it's very rarely you get black and white characters in Star Wars. I mean, technically, Mando dabbled a little bit in shady shit until episode 3 of season 1, when he realized like, oh fuck, I'm a cocksucker for doing that. I'm gonna go get the little guy. Now he's basically full good. Grief cardboard, all those guys. I mean, Han Solo, you could argue, dabbled in the seedy sides of the galaxy and became good, but no, Nick's right. It's typically black and white with Star Wars characters, and that's why I keep going back to me, Crosshair's become the Anakin Vader of Bad Batch. He really has, and I don't know if this means anything, because this game rarely means anything, but the Lord Vader Galactic Legends event in Swago, Nick, he's finally here. It's it's the Anakin Vader, right? So it's not armored yet.
Yeah.
But the first set of requirements were revealed, and the Bad Batch is required to unlock Vader. And they typically try to include characters from a character's Star Wars journey in their SWTS journey.
Yeah.
And I've actually been surprised we haven't had any talk of Vader or the Emperor outside of, season 1 we saw the Emperor giving his speech, but there's been nothing even whispered about the Dark Lord of the Sith. But the fact that they're including the batch in the SWTS event to unlock Vader, there's a little bit of me like, well, maybe season 2, maybe the end of this season, we might get a shot of the helmet. Who knows? But I mean, Vader definitely could fit.
Yeah. 100%. It's an odd time for Vader right now too, because this is literally like happening a month after they fucking snap the armor on his body, and he's probably not in a position yet to where he can like be the force in the galaxy that
I mean, especially if you go back to recent Vader comics, Nick, where it literally picks up right after he gets the armor, and he's fucked up. He's weak.
Yeah.
Palpatine sends him off to get his lightsaber. He's like, "You're a pussy. Quit thinking about Padme. You're broken. You suck. I hate you." The same shit that Palpatine always does to him. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, in terms of Crosshair, I'll save this for the next point. The cloning tech, we've talked about this. I think Nala Se will probably pop up in the series again, if not in finale part 2. There's a good chance she may be responsible for how the Bad Batch and Omega get off of the blown up Tipicoa City. You never know. Maybe Fennec will come in and save the day. Maybe Boba Fett will come in and save the day. But the whole thing with Nala Se, the cloning tech, and the Empire, I love that we kind of got that ironed out and how they came in possession of this stuff. And it was very Imperial. They just fucking stole it. They came in, they played nice guys, when Tarkin was here. Hey, yeah, we'll give the clones a chance, but money, blah, blah. They never cared about money. This is a ruse from the get-go by the Empire. They knew in the end this is ultimately what they were going to do. They were going to fucking eliminate the Kaminoans so clones could never be made again to use against them. And they were going to steal the tech to use for their own purposes, which, we know at least canon-wise led to the Snoke clone of Palpatine, the zombie body of Palpatine, and whatever the fuck we saw in The Mandalorian Season 2. This is all directly from Nala Se being abducted by Rampart and the Imperials in Bad Batch. And that's why this show, to me, I think, is a winner. It might not have, killer content every week, but getting these major moments fleshed in during this period of mostly uncovered Star Wars material or timelines, it's I don't know, it's fantastic. I love this stupid shit like this. Most people prior lab, fucking, they got cloning tech, just blow it up, that type of shit, like that rah cowboy approach to Star Wars, like guns and lightsabers, testosterone. I like a throwaway scene like this where Tarkin and Rampart confirm that they are now in possession of cloning technology, because we know what that turns into down the road. And I don't know, I'm a dork like that. I like that lore stuff.
Yeah, you need it now that season 2 is confirmed. Like, you need to have those moments in there, because if you don't, then you're not building the world. You're not building the lore. Right. You're not tying loose ends up. You're not connecting pieces to other series. Like, having stuff like that is really is necessary to building the type of universe that Star Wars is and has been for the last, probably close to the last 20 years after the release of.
We've seen it now, Nick. We've seen it in season 1. The whole time we're like, are they going to do season 2? Blah, 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 blah. But now that we know season 2 is a thing, if you look back at season 1, think about all the setup they've now done for this franchise. You've got them linked in with Hera. You've got them linked in with Sid. You've got them. They're linked in with the bounty hunters, Fennec, Cad. Good
Saw
chance.
Gerrera,
Saw Gerrera. Nala Se. There's so many little links that have been made. Captain Rex and his rebels. Gregor. It's really, and this shouldn't surprise anyone. The first season of most shows, it's kind of a trial to see if it's even going to stick. Right? Because a lot of shows typically are made and they stick around based on ratings. I know that's changed in the streaming era. But first seasons are also meant to kind of play around with potential narratives that they are going to extend throughout the life of the show. And clearly the main narrative of the Bad Batch is them being on the run in Omega's secret sauce, which, let's be real, the other thing that is going to spawn from the Empire stealing Nala Se is they're probably now going to set their sights on getting Omega, because they're going to learn from her that she is the last remaining source of the good juice.
Yeah.
So that, again, that's why I like just little shit like this can spawn all sorts of threads down the road. I had my chip removed, blah, blah, blah. They decide to bring Crosshair with them. I mean, yeah, that's key. I don't think it surprised anyone. I mean, I didn't think Hunter was going to sit there and actually blast him and then stab him in the throat. He's the Kenobi type. It's just like Kenobi, for the most part, even all the way to the fucking high ground, was still trying to reason with a madman. He's like, dude, come on. I mean, it's over. If you jump at me one swipe and you're a stump. But Hunter's the same way. He even though he's a clone, I believe, at least with his other brother and other clones, he believes there's still good in you, father, like that type of shit. I mean, he's Luke Skywalker and Crosshair right now.
Yeah, I don't think that the plan was ever to like take out Crosshair. The plan, even when they believed his chip, was still in, was to like get him, bring him back into the fold, like make him see the error of his ways, get the chip removed, whatever it was. It was never to just like straight wipe this motherfucker out. And like, it was the one moment, it was the one Kenobi moment that differs from Kenobi. Like Kenobi's biggest mistake ever was walking away on 100%. The shores of the Mustafar 100%. River. Because you had three choices. One was walk away like he did, and the two better choices were either kill him right there, like push his ass into that river.
Yeah, I was going to say Jin Sakai him, right? Like a samurai at the end of the battle, just walk up and stick your blade through his back.
Yeah, or you take him with you. Right. Like,
you're 100% correct.
So the one mistake Kenobi made was not doing one of those two things, and that was the moment for Hunter, was that like he could have done the exact same thing. Roast him there yourself, leave him, or bring him back, and he chose the good thing, which was bring him back and try to fucking get your brother back into the fold. Right.
So, I mean, the fact that we still have another episode left, we really don't truly know what may happen with Crosshair. But at this point, like I said earlier, he has 2 paths right now. I guess 3, if you want. Continue the nonsense and really just force his brothers to take him out. Or the ultimate sacrifice to get his brothers and Omega off of Kamino, off of Tipocoa City, as a final act of like, oh yeah, all right, same thing with Vader and Anakin, not Vader, Vader and Luke at Jedi. Like, hey man, thanks. I get it. I was a cocksucker. Take my mask off so I can look upon you with my own eyes, even though it's going to kill me, type of deal. Like, maybe Crosshair will finally see the light and help them get off at his own peril. And then the last one, like Nick said, is he gets brought into season 2, and a lot of the season 2 plot is trying to reason with him. I don't know how they're going to do it, because like I said, he's very non-armor Vader at this point. Like he is dealing in absolutes, as Kenobi says. So it's going to be a trick. So we'll see. It's like I said, it's a very interesting choice to end the episode where it ended, because it could have been the season finale, but we know we've got, at least 25 minutes of content to go that could blow up anything we have talked about today.
Any of the thoughts we just threw out there could be completely wiped out in one episode.
And then final, I touched on it earlier, but this could be some of the greatest, I don't know, cinematography, can you say that for an animated series? I guess you can.
Yeah, there's still camera work. Yeah.
But those final moments when you know that Rampart is about to blow the facility up and it's completely empty. And like I said, it's almost like they're reminding you of what this place used to be and now what it is. And they're saying, hey, dummies, this is the end of an era. The Clone Wars are truly over at the end of this episode. But just the montage and the really low-key kind of dark music, seeing all these rooms that we saw filled with clones and Kaminoans, and in Attack of the Clones and in Bad Batch and in Clone Wars for that matter. It was beautiful. I mean, it's like, are we watching a fucking movie here, or is this a cartoon? So I really appreciated the team's work just on the design and the production of this episode, let alone the content and the great dialogue we got.
Yeah.
But this is it. There it is. Exploding Takoa City. It is gone. Like I said, that is, if you haven't figured it out at this point, the clone era is over. The Empire has ensured that no clones will ever be made again unless they are making them.
Yeah, it's been pretty fucking wild. So, yeah, this was the tipping point. Now we're, like you said in the beginning of the breakdown, like we are officially in, nascent Empire stage. Yeah. Like this is,
we should start seeing stormtroopers left and right now. I hope they at least address, maybe we'll get this in finale part 2, address where they stashed all the other clones off world, and if it is just going to be kind of like an Operation Cinder Scorch Earth execution for them, like the Kaminoans. But yeah, I mean, it's over. The Empire is here in full. It is what we first saw when we, tuned into A New Hope. Yes, I know the stormtroopers still have their Ralph McQuarrie helmets a bit. Don't worry. I'm sure it'll be fixed in season 2 or season 3.
Gen 1. It's Gen 1 clones,
right.
Guys. Come on.
But I didn't get to talk about them too much because I missed that episode. But how great was it having the stormtroopers being trained by clone commandos, but the fact that Scorch was there and just looked like a fucking beast. Like he even though he's not a mutated clone like Clone Force 99, he made them look like fucking fools. Like, I know, fools.
Right? He was great.
And as soon as I saw him, like, he jumped on that lift. He's like, fuck, I'm not going to ride up with these idiots. I'm going to jump across an elevator and cut these guys off. I was like, my God, that's Scorch. They did it. They brought in a fucking Republic commando, and they made him a pimp. I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, how you do my boy like that? What do you mean? He almost killed Gregor, and it took every Bad Batcher to stun him multiple times to get him to fucking stop moving. I thought it was fucking Hulk style. I loved it. That was probably one of the greatest Eggs references in any of this shit I've been covering. So,
I mean, they couldn't keep him. Like, that they had to take him out, because even if they didn't, then he was going to be dead anyway because of everything that's going on with the clone apocalypse.
I don't know. I thought he showcased. I thought he showed himself quite well. I mean, like I said, he looked like a commando. Even without mutations, he looked like Clone Force 99, where a bunch of cunts that he could just roll over if he wanted to. All right, so there you go. One more to go this Friday. I'll have my breakdown out early, so if you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, look for it. You can find it on our site, StarWarsTime.net. Just scroll down there. It's on the right sidebar. Real easy button to hit to get subscribed. And hey, if you're listening now, excuse me, and you're not subscribed, go ahead and do that and hit the like button.
Yes.
Okay, so this is kind of one of those deals, Nick, where I know you did the solo last week and then this news dropped, and we've talked about it a million times, so it's really not worth spending a ton of time on. Outside of let's throw a couple predictions, even though we don't have the full scope of season 1 yet. But Bad Batch season 2 confirmed, coming back in 2022. Good chance it may just hit its usual spring run. I would assume they're just going to keep its time slot. Why not? But I guess if they stick to their guns of everything needs to come out on Wednesday because Loki had a lot of views, it looks like our lovely Star Wars release day is going to be midweek, which still fucking chaps my ass. But
it's going to be literally the day after we record our show.
Oh, I didn't even think about that butt fuck of this schedule change. You're right. Yeah, I mean, by the time we get to it, it's going to be a week old. It's like, who gives a shit?
And then the next episode's coming out literally, we're going to release the podcast recapping the previous week's episode the day
that's not going to work.
Episode comes out.
That is not going to work. That is not good. All right, well, maybe
we'll figure that out in a year.
How about this? And I don't typically like sending out bad juju for anything Star Wars, but let's kind of hope that either Visions or Book of Boba Fett stumbles a bit on a Wednesday release, and the idiots in suits are like, oh, well, look, the numbers went down on Wednesday. I guess we should put them back on Friday.
Right, yeah.
Fucking Wednesday releases. Get the fuck out of here. But anyways, Bad Batch season 2, Nick. I know we don't know everything, but where do you what type of general direction do you think we'll get in season 2? Is it gonna?
I mean, it's
focus on the boys, or is it gonna open up the world a bit and start looping in more of the small rebel cells that are popping up?
I think that there's a necessity to expand it now, because before, like at this point, you were still telling a relatively insular story. Like, even though the batch was kind of like, they had their moments with Sid, there were these mercenaries and stuff like that. Their focus was always on, we got to crosshair, we got to get them, we got to figure out what we're going to do there. That insular, basically isolated story is now completed. So I think that there's going to be an expansion of where they're going and who they're working with out of pure necessity. And then I also think that we're also going to see that it's like I was saying, like the vice grip of the Empire.
The Empire is going to start getting really fucking nuts in season 2. I mean, we already saw, chain codes are now implemented. The ship codes are now implemented. Every planet is essentially occupied. So I think you're dead on. I think season 2 things are going to get even darker. But there's still going to be a chase aspect to the show. Because like I said earlier, there's you don't take Nala's say and get away from the whole she needed Omega to keep doing experiments thing. So I think you're still going to have that angle. It's just not going to be the main focus. It's going to be a nuance that probably fucks up their other major missions of either working with Rex, saving other clones. I mean, let's be real. If they saved Gregor like I predicted, they got to get Wolf at some point in time. I mean, these are, so far, a few of my series predictions have lightly hit. I mean, I said one of the things I thought we need to see was Gregor and Wolf's rescue by the Batch. One of them is paid off. We're probably going to get the next one. We've seen Rex. Yeah. There's Ahsoka potential. I don't want to, I mean, I doubt it, but you never know. In future seasons, there's Grogu potential too. There is. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they just completely avoid Grogu.
I really did think that there was going to be at least a touch on Grogu in season 1, just because it was so fresh off of Mando. And you still have that open question. Like that question still lingers. Like, how does he, as a literal child in a bassinet, make it out of what the fuck happened with Order 66?
They're prime candidates to be the rescuers. They really are, because they're people that we know don't make it into our stuff. Okay. I mean, they're gone unless Favreau and Filoni have some crazy plans to live action them into like the Rangers or some shit. But I don't think so. I think these guys will have self-contained, and they'll probably all be dead by the time the series is over. But I don't know. It's season 2 without knowing how season 1 officially ends. I think Nick's right. I think it's going to get more focused on the broader state of the galaxy. But I also do think the chase aspect's still going to be in there, especially if the Empire learns that the Bad Batch gets off of Tipicoa City and all the secrets that Omega may hold in her DNA that Nala Se probably doesn't want to give up voluntarily, but we know the Empire doesn't quite give a shit about people's feelings and what they want to do. So there's a good chance they get that information that they're going to need a prime source clone, or who knows, maybe that's how Grogu gets mixed in, because they're like, now that we know how to clone, let's start fucking cloning some Force shit. Right?
Yeah.
Let's get some Force juice. Because you would think as soon as Palpatine gets word that, all right, we got this, he's not an idiot. He's been studying some arcane Sith shit for years. He's probably like, sweet, fuck cloning bounty hunters from Mandalore. Let's start cloning Force users.
Dude, it like baffles my mind. And maybe this comes up in later Star Wars and comic runs or something like that he never tried to clone Anakin. Like, what better option for him now that he has a cloning expert under his organization?
Yeah, I guess you just exposed a huge plot hole for like all Star Wars. Because I was going to mention another plot hole. Because you remember, like from the Mandalorian, literally Pershing is a Kaminoan scientist. So did they rebuild the fucking facilities, or did they take over? I guess we could say he is using Nala Se's underwater facility. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, I don't know, because like he comes in with the full ass
Camino garb, like he's got their insignias and everything.
Like, what was he? Was he like the intern that got away? Like, because if you think about it now, Pershing's not older than. I mean, like he probably was.
He's a little kid,
a child.
Yeah, he's like a kid at that point.
Yeah, so maybe like they give Nala say, it's like, okay, we'll give you a nice little setup. And look, we'll even put the old shit you had on the walls in there. It'll feel just like home.
But you are right. I guess that's just. I guess it would be dubbed lazy writing if they went that way. But it's one of those things where you're like, duh. This is a guy that literally from the time he was 10, you said that his career would be of great interest to you. You were like a creepy uncle to him his entire life. You lied to him. You influenced him because you knew of his force potential. And you had him as a subservient slave, and you didn't try to take some of his juice.
Yeah,
Vader lost some power because he lost limbs. It didn't mean he lost his midichlorians, right? I mean, that's what they're sucking out anyways.
At any point, you just go into like his back to bath that he drains out. Just take some of that fucking water. You give it over to Nala.
You see, Palpatine's in there like mopping the floor, like, hey, I got it now.
It's like, dude, it's like, hey, man, we need a V2. We need a Anakin Skywalker V2. Here's some bath water. Give me a better version. It just makes no sense now that like.
Or I mean, how about this, Nick? Why not just poke himself and donate some Sheev blood to the cause, right? I mean,
right? Like anything.
I guess he does, but they turned into Snoke, so clearly they didn't know what the fuck was going on. I guess Nala Se either died or actually screwed them in the end, because I don't know if you saw that it made the rounds this week. I didn't really find it to be newsworthy, so I didn't put it up there, but people were like, oh my God, Snoke was a Palpatine clone. I was like, yeah, no shit. Wasn't that explained in like Tross and all that stuff? I mean,
yeah, that was very clear.
It just clearly the Empire did not have enough Kaminoans to figure out their cloning, because they were coming out with aborted fetuses essentially.
Yeah, it's like I don't know what happened. Like I don't know if the actual facilities were that important to like cloning, but you go from being able to essentially pump out clones at an incredible pace,
millions
of clones, and you can't clone one dude who you have infinite access to in terms of his DNA.
Right. Like, you think about the resources that the Empire had when they're going through all this shit. They had everything. They owned the galaxy. Literally owned the galaxy outside what the crime syndicates had.
You can't clone the one guy who literally can't even run away from you if you take his suit away. Like,
their scientist was like that one of the Spaceballs brothers that couldn't fucking shoot straight, right? Like his eyes are fucking crossed. He's like, I think I got it this time, Sheev. And he comes out and it's like he's all mangled and his head's split open. Yeah, it's like, Jesus.
You just get a bunch of mini-me's. Like that's all you get. It's just like 1/8 versions.
Well, I mean, let's be real. Tarkin did let us know that the Empire is pretty thrifty, so they probably didn't invest too much money in their cloning tech or cloning science, and that's why all these Palpatines came out busted looking. Yeah. I mean, even the zombie corpse he somehow transmits himself to is all busted and fucked up.
Yeah,
so
still like needs to be hooked up to like fucking wires and shit, and like he doesn't come into full power until he.
I feel bad. I feel like Filoni does a lot of this stuff, or the writers do, just to kind of band-aid some of the shit that's in the sequels, and some of the future Star Wars are like, well, hey, maybe if we, let the people know that this was rooted all the way back at the end of the Clone Wars that this stuff came from, maybe it'll be a little more palpable. And I'm like, nah.
That's the best way to look at any of the cartoons. Is it's a perfect way to just paint over all the issues with all the other movies.
Yeah, it's like animated whiteout for some of the fucking live action shit that stumbled a bit.
It's like, we said that in the prequels. Here, let me just go back and in Clone Wars and fucking fix that for you. Oh, we did that in the sequels. Let me just fucking this happened too. Don't worry.
I'll tell you what, though, I did my birthday was a couple weeks ago, and I chose to watch Phantom Menace outside. Okay. That was my pick, and I do enjoy the prequels more now than I ever have before. And I don't know. I guess I'm at peace with all the shit that was mangled. At least in my mind, I thought it was mangled, but it is because of these between Clone Wars, Rebels, and Bad Batch. Now it's like it's made all that pre-OT stuff almost excellent, right? The animated stuff is excellent, but it's like putting lipstick on a pig and it actually making the pig look good, right? So
I know, right? It's not just like a touch up. It actually makes it all fucking work, which was really impressive.
I'm sorry to those in the South that think pigs may look good. I don't want to offend you. Yeah. All right, so I guess let's try to do this again once we have the full scope of what season 1's going to leave us with. But right now, I think our two very broad predictions for season 2 of a more galaxy-spanning adventure, kind of setting up how the Rebel cells started to begin and the Bad Batch involvement. We'll probably see a wolf rescue, Grogu out there. That's kind of the pie in the sky shit. But also, I think there's still going to be some of the chase aspect in there because of Omega and her importance to at least Nala Se's vision of cloning.
Yeah,
good stuff. I mean, Bad Batch. I don't want to do the moratorium yet because the season isn't over, but I really think outside of the Infested, it's been a pretty damn good Star Wars cartoon. Star Wars cartoon.
I mean, it's one of the stronger season 1s of most TV series. I mean,
that's a great point. Go back and watch season 1 of the Clone Wars, people.
Yes. Like they had some rough shit, like season 1 of Rebels too. Like you're just sitting there like, man, like, okay, I know, like it's taking its time, but dude, this was a solid season 1. Like I couldn't ask for much more.
And I think they did a lot of setup without it being in our face. Like a lot of stuff. Hauser is not done on the Bad Batch. Hare is not done. The Syndulas. Saul, like Nick said, I mean, all that stuff. That senator probably was another, we might see him again down the road that they saved. So it really does look like season 1 was, as they usually are, outside of just like, hey, keep us, sign us for another year. It was all set up for future seasons, kind of getting all those pokers into the fire, letting them burn a bit, and then season 2, season 3, pull them back out again. So people like Nick and myself are like, "Holy shit, you see that? They finally they went back and they showed us that guy from season 1. Oh my god!" And people are like, "Get a fucking life, right?" So
yeah.
All right, good time, Bad Batch. We enjoy you here at the SWTS.
Indeed, we do.
All right, so your friends here at the SWTS got themselves a little exclusive last week that I thought was kind of cool, but the internet didn't. Probably because
got me banned from Star Wars Reddit.
Yeah, we just, I'm telling you right now, we have a fucking stink on us that cannot be shaken. It's like even the bots know when we're coming and know to ban us from shit or not promote our leaks, this, that, and the other thing. Because as Nick said, if you heard him, this story, which we got from our source here, and you can see who the source is. He wants in on this too. SW Props, he's our boy. But we got word, or at least a general idea of who Kamal Nanjiani is playing in Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series. We've seen shit blow up on Reddit that is way less juicy than that. And there isn't even, I'm not going to say there's a ton of juice here. It's not like we got a character name or anything. We got a clear indication of his faction, of his allegiances, which for people like me, that's still a decent little nugget to speculate on. But it just went nowhere. Nick got banned from fucking Reddit for sharing this post.
Yeah, like literally r/Star Wars. I can't post on it anymore. Like it won't let me. But I don't understand why. It's like all I did was post the link and the title that says Kumail Nanjiani's Obi-Wan character will be a friend of Obi-Wan. It doesn't even say like leak, find out who he plays. Nothing. It's just like very simple, and it got me banned from r/Star Wars, but apparently the people over at r/Star Wars speculation there's still a home for us there because they did have some fun with some ideas about who he could play, and I did not get banned from there. I still can't post on Star Wars leaks.
Yeah, I mean this should have went to leaks, but Nick gets botted there. It's like an auto bot swat. I mean, he doesn't get banned. It just essentially the post is rejected automatically.
Yeah, like it's just immediately.
It can't even make it to a moderator. It just gets fucking killed by the bots.
Yeah,
but this is the shit that burns my ass. And I was talking to Nick before we went live. I just saw it's like if people read Slash Film, I guess this guy does like a Star Wars roundup, and he pulls all Star Wars news from, I don't know, a month, a week, or whatever. And he actually credits some smaller fan sites. And I saw, like Bespin Bulletin was in there and LRM Online, some of these cocksuckers we talk about. And then they just did like podcast shout outs. Like, oh, this podcast talked about the Bad Batch. Check them out. Oh, this podcast. I'm like, where the fuck is the Star Wars Time show? How are we not on this guy's list? I mean, over the time period he was covering, we interviewed Nick Gillard and he dropped all sorts of interesting nuggets. And you got these podcasts getting featured of idiots sitting around happy Star Wars. Like, oh, I love Star Wars. Do you love Star? Oh, I love it too. We all love Star Wars. Yay. It's that shit that like drives me nuts. People that have listened to other Star Wars shows, you know what I'm talking about. They all sit around. They all sound like a bunch of fucking nerds, like dorks. I'm a dork. I'm a geek. I get it. But I can put a mask on and trick people. I can function in society. I don't know. I should shut up because this is why people hate me, because I yell. But it's just like, where is the love? We get good content. All you idiots that listen to us every week say you love us and we're entertaining. Why don't these other people know? I think there's a conspiracy at this point in time, Nick. I think they are colluding against us because of all the poo I have flung at the assholes that get credit when we don't. I think it's an inside job at this point.
It's kind of hard to figure out why this relatively innocuous story just like would get me banned from like the official Star Wars Reddit.
Yeah, and other sites on Leaked are like, Ezra's last name is going to be Bridger, and it gets like fucking 5,000 upvotes in its front page. It's like, okay, all right. So, anyways, that's enough of my woe is me bullshit. But it frustrates the hell out of me because I believe we do a decent show. Nick thinks we do a decent show. And even some of you people, unless you're blowing smoke up our asses, which knowing some of you, I doubt you are, probably say we do a good show. So if that's the case, what the fuck's the problem? And that's why I really believe that we just suck and we probably should quit. It would save me a lot. Yeah, it would save me a lot of heartache.
Cabal that we never got included in somehow. So
it definitely there is collusion amongst channels and slightly larger platforms. I know that for a fact. But Nick, before we get into this story, I would like to talk about something real quick, okay? Before we get into this exclusive from your boys at SWTS, courtesy of our buddy at SW Props. All right. Attention, listeners across the galaxy. All the way from Australia to Houston. Do we have a pube problem? If so, our friends at Manscaped have cleared you for takeoff with their 4th generation and brand new Lawnmower 4.0. Kick your pubes to the next planet with the Performance Package 4.0. The orbits in your pants will feel like you're in zero gravity when you use the best tools for the job from the leaders in male grooming. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get your rocket ready for takeoff by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with code SWTS. And I do believe now, friends, that there are more global locations added to this offer. So check it out. If you've been blocked before trying to help us out using SWTS on Manscaped, try it out now because like they said, from Australia to Houston, they are now ready to help you with your pube maintenance. And, you're going to need it, Nick, because, we've talked about this. I just used my Lawnmower 4.0 right before I went to the beach because, I knew it was going to be in the South. It was going to be humid, muggy.
Hot.
Yeah, I didn't want my balls forming bat wings and duck sauce and all that shit down there. So I busted out my Lawnmower 4.0 because I knew using it, I would not nick my nuts, right? You remember those days when you'd use your head trimmer, your hair trimmer, and you go down there on your balls, and what would happen? Right? It's like you went to the deli and you asked for,
it's not a good story. It's not a good looking tale. if you do it wrong.
So that's why you need to get with Manscaped and the Lawnmower 4.0. All right. So are you ready for an out of the world experience? Look no further than the Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped that has just taken off in not only the USA, but Canada, the UK, across Europe, Australia, South Africa, and Singapore. I told you more locations have been added. In this package, you'll find the Lawnmower 4.0, so that's the trimmer, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, the Crop Preserver ball deodorant, my personal favorite. No joke, people. Load up on this stuff. It is fantastic. It's anti-chafing, and it makes your balls smell rather pleasant even after a hard day of sweating down there. But you're also going to get Crop Reviver toner, a pair of the boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold all of the gear in the Performance Package 4.0. So, first scheduled for liftoff, new Lawnmower 4.0. It's out there, and Nick and I have been using it. So this spaceship is here to guide you on a journey to trim your body, balls, butt, and even your anus. That's right. I've taken mine back there and have cleaned out my Uranus. This fourth generation trimmer also features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe tech. The Lawnmower 4.0 also has an impressive 7,000 RPM motor, a multi-function on-off switch, which we all know has a travel lock, so you don't get screwed the next time you're out on the road and have some hairy nuts. The Lawnmower 4.0 also has a 4000K LED spotlight, so you can turn it on and off when needed. And you know, Nick, I was wondering, I was like, do we need this? And now I do believe we do, because I've used it even with the bathroom lights on, and it definitely allows me to see a more precise path to shave.
I always use it. Always leave it on.
All right. So don't forget, though, in this Performance Package 4.0, you're also going to get the Weed Whacker. It's like having a little astronaut to chop your worst weeds up top in your nose and in your ear. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof like the lawnmower, but it has a 9,000 RPM motor powering a 360-degree rotary dual-blade system. This nose and ear hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe tech, which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. Don't forget to use the Crop Preserver ball deodorant and the Crop Reviver to help your little planets be on their A game while feeling the sun's heat. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts, which are the Performance Package, for the Performance Package 4.0, which are the boxers. I love them. Wore them last week. They make me feel like a real man, and the Shed travel bag. So, abort hairy balls and Buzz Lightyear that Woody with Manscaped. Don't forget, get 20% off plus free shipping with the code SWTS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code SWTS at manscaped.com. For a clean Trinity and beyond, your space balls will thank you.
I love it. And I think when we first launched with Manscaped, Greg mentioned that he had trouble with Australia. Well, now, as you heard Matt say, Australia's in there. So all of the down under folks,
Europe, our buddy Lima, it still doesn't look like they're headed your way, but
not yet.
It's getting there. So hey, we appreciate the reason we're still reading ads, by the way, is because we met our goals for July. So thank you, everyone.
Yes, right. Thank you. That was, again, anything that you buy on there, you get 20% off and free shipping. Doesn't have to be the Performance Package.
And like we said, I would not be participating in this if I didn't believe in the shit. And I'm fully sold on the Performance Package contents. Not only the trimmers, but I love the ball deodorant, the Reviver, and we got kind of a bonus, the foot deodorant. Not that I had stinky feet.
I'm almost out of.
Yeah, dude, right? I mean,
I'm almost out of it.
Are you now like? Do you have a full on Manscaped routine after you shower?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Again, this isn't just for we're bowing down to our spot. No way. I mean, this is legit. That stuff just makes you feel more comfortable down there. The deodorant, the Reviver, if it's lit. Reviver at the beach, Nick, was fantastic, right? Because I'd be out there swimming all day, come back, you have a little swamp ass going on. I'd spray the Revolver right on my nuts, and It's ready to rock and roll.
Bingo bango.
Not that anyone was getting down there and smelling it, but you catch my drift.
It's like a feeling. It's like a feeling thing. It's how you feel.
It does. Like I don't want to sound like I'm this very metrosexual type of male, but let's be real. I'm a human, and sometimes it feels good to smell good and pamper yourself a little bit. And I did think putting lotion on my balls would be strange, but it's actually pretty fantastic. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So.
Just don't rub too much down there. Things might get a little crazy. Okay.
Yeah. Moderation.
All right. So back to our Kumail Nanjiani story, our exclusive, if you will. So, if you know anyone who gives a shit about this and they haven't heard it yet, let them know where you heard this. But from our boy at SW Props, who met up with Nanjiani at a Suicide Squad premiere. You got to remember, Justin is a photographer of the stars, if you will.
Yes.
So he actually gets to go to a lot of cool shit because of his job and meet a lot of cool people. And through his interview, we learned that he kind of has balls of steel when it comes to talking to celebrities and asking them for stuff. I would never do what Justin does because I'm a pussy. I don't like bothering people. I think they hate me, and they probably hate Justin, but he doesn't care. He does what he does, and he's kind of curated a pretty excellent collection of autographs and high-end props with autographs. But anyways, he's at Suicide Squad and met up with Mr. Nanjiani, who's in the movie. And, they're talking. He got his signature. And I guess during the talk, obviously, Justin tried to get some Kenobi stuff out of him. And Kumail was like, listen, I can't really tell you much, but I'll give you this, and I'll even sign off on it just so this is legit. But he told Justin that his character in Kenobi is and this is in quotes because this is what he signed on his autograph, a friend of Obi-Wan. All right, so like I said, he's definitely playing a pal of Mr. Hello There, I have the high ground. Which again, it's not like, oh my God, he's Yoda as a human. It's not something crazy like that, but we at least know faction wise, at least where Nanjiani's character is going to be. And Nick, I think when we learned that he was officially cast, you and I both kind of went that route, right? We're like, he's probably a local on Tatooine. Maybe Kenobi gets mixed up in some adventures with him. And it's sort of sounding like that's going to play out now. Yeah.
I there were some ideas thrown out there, like I said, on the Reddit post. Like, for some reason, when Friend of Obi-Wan popped up, and a lot of people thought Dex, like from the restaurant in AOTC, like that diner. Because, we know that he's a friend of Obi-Wan. I don't think that necessarily fits for him. A lot of people threw out the idea that he would be playing Kitster, the little kid from episode 1 that was Anakin's friend. Again, I guess
that would be such a deep cut. It would be such a deep cut. And I think he's a little too old. I mean,
yeah, it's like you would figure it's been what? I mean, in Kenobi, it's 10. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he wouldn't be. I mean, they could make him look a little bit younger.
He'd be 20 years older. He'd be 20 years older.
He'd be like 20. He'd be like 28, 29, maybe. Like the little, if the kid, Kitster.
Yeah, I guess Kitster could fit. But I mean, was he really a friend of Obi-Wan, or is Kumail implying that they become friends through the series? There's that too.
Yeah.
Nick, I honestly don't think it is a known character. I think it's the latter, where it's probably just either going to be introduced that they have already known each other on Tatooine, or through the show, the MacGuffin, if it is Leia, they'll be introduced, and that's where their friendship will play out. So to me, I think it's going to be one of those two methods. Either they're established friends when we meet them in Kenobi, or we will see them become friends throughout the too short run of the series. Because anything Kenobi, I mean, based on what's her name, Erdina was saying.
Indira. Yeah,
Indira Varma. It sounds like she might be done filming, but yesterday she did an interview, and she was just like, listen, I don't know how you take something like that and make it feel like an indie film, but Deborah and Ewan did. So
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think that's some high praise, and it's a good sign for what we may get. But it also just makes me more depressed because this is one and done. They're not doing more Kenobi.
Yeah,
I guess money talks, right? I mean, money
know.
talks, Nick.
Yeah.
If this thing adds another 80 million subs like The Mandalorian did, maybe they'll be like, hey, fuck it, you want to come back, and it'll be like 6 months later. We'll just keep living it up with short time jumps. But
yeah, I don't think that they'll completely close the door. Is what I'll say. Is like they. I don't think that the series, I don't think that the ending of the series is going to completely close the door, and I don't think that like Disney is going to be like, okay, well, bye, we're done with this. Thanks for your time, Ewan. Thanks for your time, Hayden, and everybody else. We'll see you guys.
I mean, in the end, money's money, and if this generates money at a rate that's quicker than other projects, they'll probably sit around and be like, you know what? Narratively, it probably doesn't make sense. We probably don't need to, but we like making cash. We got to get our CEO a $50 million bonus because he does fucking nothing but make decisions while everyone works and gets this man $80 million bonuses.
Right now, the prequels are hot shit. I don't know why. I don't know why in the last, year and a half to 2 years, there's been this meteoric shift on sentiment around the prequels, but it's happened.
It's all the kids are adults now. They're the ones driving media these days. I mean, they're in their 20s and 30s.
You had, so I get it. You had the end of Clone Wars, the official end, which was just fucking out of this world incredible. And then, you're going to have this Kenobi series, which is probably going to be a banger. But the truth of it is, this is more of an OT series than a prequel trilogy series. I guess we'll see. But, that's the kind of shit that, gets the juice flowing for Star Wars right now, especially Star Wars in the media. People are all about it, especially if you can bring in the original actors from the prequel trilogy and stuff like that. So I think this is gonna bang, and it's gonna bang big. And if it when it does,
more than Mando, more than what Mando did.
Yeah, I think it will, because it's Mando had the big bang of being the first live action ever,
and just being not following a major known character.
Yeah, but this is gonna be one. The character from the prequel trilogy that is universally loved. It doesn't matter what you thought about the prequel trilogy. Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi was the consistent thing that no matter what anybody had to say, he was good. And it's going to that spot, that perfect area in the timeline where original trilogy fans will be fuck yes, right where I want it to be. Prequel trilogy fans are all in because it's Ewan, because it's Anakin and Hayden. It's got too much going for it.
And Nick, even the noobs, even Mando noobs will be interested because it's on Disney Plus. They're gonna see it. It's gonna be in their menu, and they'll be like, "Hey, fuck, Mando is good. Let's watch this shit too."
Yeah,
I'm with you.
It's the perfect nexus. It has everything.
There's great potential for Kenobi when it's done to sit as the greatest work of Star Wars. There really is. Yeah, there really is.
Maybe they use this as how they were planning on doing a Star Wars stories for movies for silver screen.
Correct.
Maybe this turns into well, now instead of doing movies, we do 6-episode miniseries.
Yeah, just a miniseries. Yeah, I'd be down. At this point, let's be real, and I'm bummed out, but it's happened. There's a clear shift in the movie business at this point in time. It's never going to be the same. Never. Not that we're going to get the virus cleaned up, but virus schmirus, it's different. People have shown companies that streaming is a viable option for new releases. They will flock to the platforms to watch big budget movies at home now. I'm still not a huge fan of it, but even in the back of my head, I'm going, you want to put your mask on and go to the theater and be sitting around a bunch of loud ass creeps. It is going to be the best way to watch Suicide Squad, but you could also just literally walk 2 feet to your 75-inch screen with Dolby sound and start it up right now with a private screening with no fucking strangers, no masks, no coughing, no people eating and make me want to stab them in the throat. So that, I think, I don't think you're far off. I think a lot of movies that might have just been like a standalone throwaway could be resurrected in the miniseries format.
Yeah. I mean, dude, that's what happened. Like right when like the movie shit started happening with Disney, and like, you know, you had TFA blow up, then you had Rogue blow up. They were like, okay, well, here's the plan.
Yeah, Kenobi movies.
Boba movie, Yoda movie, probably, like all of these movies. And now if you look at it, like the Boba movie has now turned into Book of Boba Fett. Like that's probably what that movie was going to be, or something similar. The Obi-Wan movie we know was being worked on because that was confirmed by a source who was working on it.
Kenobi, like, Kenobi himself. I said Ewan himself was like, yeah, we were doing the movie.
Yeah, we were fucking working on it. I mean, Vincent Jenkins said that he was fucking working on it, like,
right,
on our podcast. So like that was a movie that turned into a show. Like it wouldn't surprise me if a fucking Yoda spinoff came up and we had a Yoda series. Like it's just the way to go. And like
the only spinoff we need, Nick, from Kenobi is a Vader miniseries.
Yeah, and now that you have fucking Hayden on the dotted line,
tell him.
Here we go. Just get it done, man.
They're doing it right. Like if Kenobi hits, which is going to hit, and Hayden and his Anakin, his Vader are a star, I could definitely see another Kenobi, even though they said no way. But maybe we get that dream project I think anyone would cut off a ball for.
Dude, you know the perfect thing to do is like, we just not an hour ago we were just talking about point of view. Like you could literally play it back in the same exact timeline.
Ooh, look at you. You should go back to writing fiction, you creative motherfucker. Or at least start coming up with ideas for me to shoot toys in. Because look at that. Yeah. I like that's a pretty good idea. I don't think they do it because Star Wars would never get that cute. But that would be fantastic to essentially in 2023 watch the events of Kenobi, but from Anakin's perspective. Yeah, it would be a completely different show. Yeah, the main beats would still be there, but it would feel completely different. It's kind of how War of the Bounty Hunters is going right now with all the crossovers, where one issue will show you a scene, then the next issue will show you the same scene, but from literally different views in the panels, but also different perspectives from the characters.
Yeah, I mean, that would be it would be easy to do because, like you said, your story outline, like your general beats are there, and then you just go and you fill it in with the Vader perspective or the Empire perspective and stuff like that. It would be the perfect duo series, like the perfect juxtaposition series for those two characters in particular.
Well, you know their flashback scenes are going to get the most reaction in Kenobi. You know that is going to be, I mean, outside of any major revelations, those are going to be the moments fans are going to drool over, possibly cry over, jerk off over. You don't know. Right? You don't know how people react to that. But I mean, you could create a whole show just on Anakin and Obi-Wan during the Clone Wars. I know that's been covered, so that's probably not going to happen. But you know, the adventures of the generals, my two generals, and it's from like Ahsoka's perspective. But there is, and I think Disney sees the writing on the wall now. They know they have a winner in Disney Plus. They know they have a built-in loyal fan base for Marvel and Star Wars licenses, and pretty much any series they've put out at this point has just killed it in terms of viewership and adding new subs. So I think they'll definitely leverage the platform more than they initially planned for. When Nick said, they probably had a lot of their eggs in the cinema basket versus TV.
I heard there was an interesting interview with Matt Damon recently. He was on that show Hot Ones, like the Hot Wings show, and he was talking about like why there's this shift away from theaters and like why everything in theaters now is like big blockbuster stuff. And he basically said like, okay, you have a $25 million movie, you go to a studio and say like, I want to release this in theaters. The studio looks at that as $100 million movie in terms of production, because you have to pay $25 million to film the movie. You pay $25 million to market the movie, and then you give 50% of your profits on ticket sales over to the distributors, like to the actual movie theaters. Right. So you have to make $150 million on a $25 million movie to make money. It's essentially what he said. And now with that, you don't have to market shit on Disney Plus. Like your marketing is so limited.
Some trailers on Twitter. That's it.
Exactly. Like your fan base is already there. It's built in. It's too easy to not take that route. So
no, it is. It's sad, but we are not going to see as many 250 million plus productions anymore. They're going to go away. They're not going to be extinct, but they're just not going to go away. And really, I think theaters will will eventually just be reserved for those types of films. Because why release an art house movie in a fucking theater? Just drop it on your streaming platform. Cut out all those costs. Like Nick said, I mean, sometimes half of a film's cost is just from promotion.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe that's why Suicide Squad's suffering, because I think they spent like $100 million to promote it worldwide and really try to get people in theaters, and it sounds like its box office was just trash.
Yeah, because it's
like not even black. I mean, I understand why it didn't perform like a Marvel movie. I mean, there are a lot of fans that still don't believe in DC's versions of their live action comic book characters, but knowing it's James Gunn, that to me was enough to be like, all right, if I wasn't away, I would have been there opening weekend to see it. But you know, a lot of people just don't give a fuck. Like, I mean, Joe here, Klondike, he's like, I checked it out on HBO Max, and that like cuts into the profits.
That's the problem. Is like HBO Max should be paying these. Like, I don't know what their deal is with any particular movie that gets like a dual release, like Space Jam did. Like HBO Max should be giving these studios
they dual release.
To release.
They dual release everything, and they set this out last year. I mean, any Warner Brothers movie, because I'm guessing HBO and Warner, they either own each other or one owns the other. They're like, any Warner movie, we're doing day and date HBO Max in theaters. We don't give a fuck. That's the decision they made. I don't know if they're going to be getting sued like Disney is from Scarlett, and good for her. I mean, a lot of us are like, oh, fuck you, you're a millionaire. You know what? Money's money. Okay, and if we were her and we felt like we got jobbed, we'd be bitching about getting our millions too. So shut the fuck up. She can get what is owed to her. If in the contract was a majority of her pay for Black Widow was going to be from the box office back end, and then they did the day and day on Disney Plus, well then she should get some sort of compensation. That a deal's a fucking deal.
Plus.
Yeah, a deal is a fucking deal.
They make you fucking pay for it though. Like Disney Plus, they're like, oh yeah, it's out today, but it's $35.
Disney, I mean,
with fucking HBO, it's free.
Love them or hate them, I guess you could kind of position it this way. If you love capitalism, Disney is killing it with their streaming platform and what they're doing with their first party movies. Killing it. They're like, fuck you guys. Fuck you capitalists. You like spending your money? You have to pay us just to get on our service, and when our movie's released, you got to pay us another $30. And guess what? You don't even get your own copy of that fucking movie. You have to keep paying us to be on Disney Plus to keep watching that movie. You can't watch it on Vudu. You can't watch it on Movies Anywhere. It is Disney Plus only. Where Nick was alluding, HBO Max is like, you guys gave us your $14. Here's a brand fucking new movie that's in theaters for free. It's only going to be here for maybe 15 days, but that's enough time to watch it. Yeah, here's your gift.
It's like, it's right there. Here you go. It's fucking wild, like how Disney has been able to do that. Like but also it's not just, it's the whole parent company, because they do the same thing with UFC events. UFC events, you have to be an ESPN Plus subscriber and you got to pay for the event.
That is brilliant. And we do it. I'm one of them. I've bought every fucking Premier Access movie Disney has released so far. I'll be buying Jungle Cruise this weekend. Dude, and I don't feel that bad, because I'm like, well, you know what? If I was taking the family, we'd be spending $30 anyway. So who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Capitalism. Yo! Work to spend. Work to spend. Work to spend.
Their director of monetization, or whoever does
genius.
their
fucking
it's
genius.
Just unbelievable. Like that person should be the CEO. He, she, whoever it is, should be the CEO.
Bro, you remember last year when they did it, they did the first time with Mulan. Everyone's like, you don't hear anyone bitching now. They're like, sweet, I can watch Black Widow at home for $30. Cool, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Raya, cool.
Man. Dude, it's wild. But
They get away with highway robbery at Disney, and we all sit here and smile and fucking take it and love it. That's the best part.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, I'll keep coming back too. You give me more Star Wars, I'll come back.
I've got no plans to cancel Disney Plus. I mean, I was watching some new Shark Week content up there. I don't even know how they have license to that shit, but they do. They're producing 2021 shark content, and I'm all for that. So
National Geographic, baby.
Yeah, I've been on a pretty hardcore like ocean nature viewing kick these days. I'm guessing it's because I was just at the coast, and that's my favorite place in life.
You're like, you have to keep it there.
Yeah, it's like through osmosis. I'm trying to feel the aura of the ocean through my screen. But well, there you go. There's our exclusive. We actually SW Props had some other confirmations for us, and we've kind of already talked about these, and I wouldn't say they're shocking. But he has a friend that's in the show. I'm thinking like extra or background, and it's confirmed that Sung Kang and Moses Ingram are Inquisitors, 100%. Not that, like I said, not a huge surprise. We've guessed that here on the Star Wars Time Show, but I always appreciate some leaks with 100% confirmation. So. Sung Kang, why maybe he may not be the exact fifth brother, he's definitely Inquisitor, and same for Moses, who, ever since we saw her busting out lightsabers in the gym, we're like, all right, well, she's probably not going to be a Jedi, so she's probably going to be an Inquisitor. So that has been confirmed too from your boys and our dude out in the streets, SW Props. All right,
there we go. Thank you, Justin. All right. Next up is another like kind of just.
It's like a no shit Sherlock.
Like,
Nick, I actually saw one of the leakers give himself a chest pound for this one. I'm like, please. And these are the guys. And Nick, these are the guys that people like, give them thousands of views and likes and shit. It was the Jordan Mazon guy. He's like, hey, look at. He like showed one of his old tweets. He's like, hey, look who broke this news. When
it's like, bro, the game literally ended and basically said, "See you next game."
I know.
I mean, that's literally how it ended.
So what is it, Nick? Are Star Wars fans just gullible idiot morons, or what? Because like this is even one. I don't even think I pinged you on this one because I was like, yeah, no kidding. They're working on more Fallen Order. I mean, what video game franchise that was successful like this one doesn't get a goddamn sequel? That's all video games are these days. That's all people want. Developers want IPs that produce sequels because they know they're going to make money.
Yeah, it was like basically what happened was after the first 2 weeks of release of this, and they're like, oh, we already made $60 million. We were like, okay, well, here comes Fallen Order 2. Whenever they decide to make it, like, it was pretty fucking obvious. But, I mean, basically, I guess, I don't think there was ever doubt, but, like, they didn't show any Star Wars games at EA Play, which is like their big like. Well,
we knew that. I mean, really, they came out and said, "Hey, you're not getting shit till 2022, probably at Celebration."
So like we didn't get anything from there, but then on the back end of EA Play during an earnings call, the brass basically said like, "Yeah, we're in active development of Jedi Fallen Order."
I guess if something like this is news to you, get out of your basement more. All right.
Yeah, dude. It's pretty wild that like I don't understand how people didn't know about this. Or like
it's simple. This goes back to capitalism math. If company makes money with product X, company is going to keep making more of product X. It's not that hard to figure out.
I mean, it would have been different if it's like, oh, like Fallen Order franchise is like being developed by multiple studios or something like that.
Yeah, like they spun it off and it might not be the same quality. Okay, there's some news there. But
that's what happened with KOTOR. Because KOTOR, you had KOTOR 1, BioWare. KOTOR 2 was Obsidian. Right. So it was a continuation of the franchise, but it was a different studio. But like this is just, like Respawn is, of course, making the next Jedi Fallen Order game.
It's like, wow, that's so informative. Let me retweet a prediction we made 2 years ago that said, hey, this game was successful, they're going to make another one. It's like, come on. It'd be like if a Call of Duty comes out, you're like, you know what, I think they're going to make another one next year. It's like, no shit. The game sells $500 million every year since Call of Duty, 4?
Which was like 2000.
They're never going to stop until you people stop buying them. And I'm not saying it's a shitty franchise, but in the video game business, for the most part, it's all about having a franchise that can be repeated with subsequent sequels. That's it. It's an ATM.
Yep. So there we go. That's our franchise. But that, I mean, I guess the news is like this is the first post LucasArts actual Jedi.
I guess I almost thought for sure they're like, yeah, we're keeping it going. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I thought it was pretty obvious too, but apparently it was enough for people out there to be like,
we just suck at coming up with no news stories and making them interesting like these other sites do.
Because we're just like, we get in our head too much where we're like, we think to ourselves like, yeah, of course, everybody fucking knew that was gonna happen, but apparently we're smarter than most people.
No, I was going to say, we forget that some of the people we share this earth with, that, low IQ individuals that literally don't know shit from Shinola. So
true.
Oh, well, there you go. For those of you that couldn't figure that out, there's going to be more Jedi Fallen Order. I would think at this point, I mean, when did the last one come out? 19? Was it 19 or 18?
November 19.
It was?
Yeah, November. Yeah, I think it was November.
Shit, I'd say you're probably going to be getting Fallen Order 2, maybe fall of 2022 or 2023 for sure.
That's what I was going to say. I feel like 2022 is probably going to be the release, probably another holiday release.
Yeah, if they've had almost 3 years to work on it, damn Skippy, that thing will be ready.
Yeah.
I just wish they'd make it good. I know there's a lot. I know you liked it too. I know you liked it too. I don't know. I don't like Cal.
Like the fight style,
and I think the fight style, while if you can get used to it if you really want to, it's not Star Wars fighting. I mean, Nick Gillard, if he saw this shit, he'd spit on the screen. He'd be like, what the fuck is he's like, they're holding, it's the same thing he said about Ben Solo. He's like, I wish I could have got a hold of Adam Driver to let him know, that's not how you fucking hold a lightsaber, pal, because it's not a 50-pound sledge. It is a hilt and then light. There is no weight to it. In this game, you fight like you're holding a medieval broadsword.
Broadsword.
Like a two-hand, from those other with Demon Dark Souls games, whatever, the Blood Souls. What's the genre that they call these?
Soulsborne.
Yeah, Soulsborne games. It's like, okay, these, I could see why these guys swing so slowly, because their sword is bigger than the screen. This is a blade of light and a hilt. Yeah. Stop it with this challenging parry attack bullshit that moves so clunky. Make them flow. Make them move like a goddamn Jedi, for Christ's sake.
I agree.
There's my 2 cents on that. And make Cal. Let's get Cal a little more interesting next time around, okay? Guy is like as milquetoast as it gets. Milquetoast Kestis.
Give him something. Give him a love interest. Give him a reason to stray off his path. I don't know. I mean, we'll see how it goes, but I think that they could make the character interesting. It's just you have to give him something outside of his very set path to do, because that's basically all the first. I mean,
the actor's great. That what's his name?
Cameron Monaghan.
He was brilliant in Gotham as sort of the Joker.
Yeah, not really Joker, but Joker. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just thought he was a punk, kind of a weenie. I don't know. He just never felt like a Jedi. Maybe it's because of the gameplay. I fucking hated it so much. I wanted to punch myself playing it. But that was a game I definitely played on easy, because I am not gonna learn how to time parries and shit with a lightsaber. I'm gonna run around the map and fight bozo troopers as if I were a real Jedi, and literally just, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead. Fuck you with this, a scout trooper can block a lightsaber. Go blow yourself. All right. There is other game news, by the way. What was that new game that was supposed to come out? It was like Hyper Fighter or something. What the fuck was it called? Unleashed? No. We talked about a month or two ago.
Star Wars fighting. Oh, the one that's a mobile thing?
It might be on Reddit. Well, we were thinking it's either going to be Switch or mobile. I think it's on Reddit here. Let me see.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't see anything out there yet, like on like actual news. So it might be on leaks, but I think I know what you're talking about. It was like that arena fighting game.
Yeah, it was supposed to come out this year, but it's been pushed to 2022. Big surprise. So
so it was like this Star Wars arena fighter that was supposed to be like almost like a battle royale kind of game. I don't remember if they actually had a title for it or not, but we talked about it probably 3 months ago. Okay, so it got pushed back.
It's not Legos. Star Wars Hunters. There you go. Star Wars Hunters.
That was the Star Wars.
Yeah, I knew I saw something like that pop up. It wasn't that important, so I filed it in the who gives a shit section of my brain. But when we were talking about it, I wanted to throw it out there. So yeah, Hunters is delayed, so definitely no new Star Wars content unless you're a SWTS player like myself. You got we got a new capital ship coming for bounty hunters. We've got the Lord Vader event. So those of you that like to grind and spend thousands of dollars on a mobile game, there's some content coming your way for SWTS. Okay, as we make our way towards the fan segment, we usually like to touch on some new toys that were revealed the last time we talked, and we got a few reveals in the 1/6 scale line from both Hot Toys and Sideshow. Some of these we've seen teases for, but now we got the full glamour shots, so we can really speak our minds on how we feel about them. But the big one here, this is one that our buddy had been waiting for. One of our biggest fans, Tones, was really holding out for the Mandalorian Luke Skywalker, and lo and behold, we knew he was coming, just didn't know when he was going to be revealed, and that time was last week. So we are a little late on this, but I was out. Nick doesn't give a fuck about toys, and I don't blame him. I wish I could get to where Nick's headspace is at on toys myself. But I'll be honest with you, Nick. This is one I was like, you know what? I don't need Luke. I already have a Jedi Luke. I already have a Jedi. I mean, I keep repeating this to myself. I already have a Jedi. This is what you have to do when you're a collector and you have $6,000 already on pre-order. You just keep saying it. You're trying to speak it into existence. Like, I don't need him. Yeah. I don't need him. I already have one. But if you look at this guy, it's definitely a different face sculpt, different hair. It matches the Luke we saw on the show. But unless I'm going colorblind, he changed his fucking hood to black, right? Is that black or is that brown?
Yeah, no, that's definitely black.
All right, if you're on the live stream, anyone watching right now, if you can see the screen, if you're not, if you're listening on a recorder audio only, you go to StarWarsTime.net and pull up this new Sideshow post. But that is fucking black. All right, I thought it was black in the show, but I was like, sometimes in dark lighting, brown can look real black. But right there in this glamour shot, that's black, right?
No, it's black. It's black, just like his tunic and his shoes. Yeah, like he's in full black.
So, in my fucked up justification type of head, I go, well, technically, it is different than the Return of the Jedi Luke, right?
It's technically different.
It's technically different. and Trevor's confirming here. He's saying it isn't Luke, it's CGI Luke, and I'll give him that credit. I still think it's a good looking sculpt, even if it is a sculpt of CGI Luke. But he clearly has a slightly modified tunic on. All right. I mean, he's got a tunic. I wonder if he has like the black shirt that folds over to white, like the Return of the Jedi Luke. So because of the moving eyes and the slight tweaks to the accessories and the costume, I'm considering Mando Hot Toys Luke. It's on the to be considered.
Hear me out here.
Yeah.
It's a black tunic. We know it's different than ROTJ. Is this a cloned Luke by the Imperial Remnant that came in
to take Grogu to take him? He's taking him to Exegol,
to the Empire. Yes, it's a clone. This is what Nala Se did. She cloned Luke. 100. Take it to the bank.
Nick called it. That's how Bad Batch is going to tie in the Mandalorian. We're going to learn that this was actually a clone all along. That's why they fucked up the CGI to make him look a little off. And now that they've hired that YouTuber to do the job right, they'll bring in they'll make the big reveal in season 3. So.
Yeah, we all knew. We all watched it like it's a little off, but it's Luke. It's Luke. It's clone Luke. It's evil clone Luke. Called it here on the Star Wars Time Show.
Yeah, I don't know. I love when when this stuff comes out, because I can tell it really bothers Trevor. He's in here like, what the fuck? Just make him look the right way. He has great opinions on 1/6 scale figures and their face sculpts, as he should. I mean, he's a pro. His name is 1/6 shooter.
1/6
he is the fucking 1/6 shooter.
He's the guy.
So I let him air his grievances, even if I may be foolish and grab this Luke. If I do get it, I'm 100% going the deluxe to get the Dark Trooper carcass you get with it. So I don't know. Like I said, I was almost convinced that I was not going to need to get this one, because I pretty much have all the other Mandalorian hot toys. But after seeing it in the slight tweaks, the black robe, it may be justifiable at this point, Nick. It may be justifiable.
Are you sure you don't need another Grogu figure?
Well, that I definitely don't. I mean, I've got Grogu's coming out my ass at this point in time, of all sizes. I've got the 1-to-1 scale from Hot Toys. I've got 1/6 scale. I think I got a 1/4 scale somewhere. My daughter has all my stuffed Grogu's at this point in time. So yeah, I don't need the little guy, but the Luke intrigued me. Plus, he's got the googly eyes like some of the malls, where I could literally, make him go cross eyes. And
I saw the pictures.
Tone shared a fun one in our Discord. Which, if you want to join the Discord, the easiest way to do that is to go to our Instagram at Star Wars Time Show and hit our link tree right there.
Yeah, we have almost 50 people in Discord, which is actually surprising. We have.
It's
40.
quiet. And we told you this from the get-go. If you want Nick and I to interact all the time, you got to at me. You got to at me. I've got so many other Discords. I need added. But yeah, come join in. It's fun. We had a new member join this week. We do share some memes, bullshit about Star Wars. There's channels for random stuff. So it's a nice little community. All right. The other ones we did get teases for. And these are Sideshow's clone, animated versions of General Skywalker and Kenobi.
I think these look fucking sick.
Okay, so that's interesting, because I'm sitting here.
People hate it.
Well, a lot of people definitely hate the Kenobi. The Kenobi is okay.
I was gonna say the Anakin is more than the Kenobi.
Yeah, to me, the Anakin. There's been a part of me wanting to jump off that ledge. Right, I'm like,
yeah.
Let's be real. I love Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader. He's my number one. I love the guy. Thank God for the Clone Wars, because it actually, for me at least, it finally gave me the Anakin I wanted to see in the movie. So I love the dude. I have a soft spot for his good side and his evil side. And you are right. The Anakin, there is some artistic appeal to this figure. And if you're not watching on the live stream, it's a 1/6 scale figure, but it's not lifelike. It's actually taking what Anakin looked like in the Clone Wars and making a 1/6 scale figure out of him. So it is highly stylized. The features in the face are very sharp. One of the things I was just I don't know if I could get over this, but look at his hands. His hands are baby hands. They're almost freakishly small and skinny looking, and I know again it's angular, it's animated, so it's not proportional. But I just look at those hands, I'm like, dude, that is fucking creepy. But full, in the robe, fan of the Clone Wars, that type of stuff is pulling at me on the Anakin. I just don't know if I can do it, because I'm not a huge fan of Sideshow's own figures. But the Kenobi, Nick, this one, I don't know. There's something off on the Kenobi face.
Yeah, the Kenobi face is weird. I don't know if it's if it's too angular, or if it's it may be in the way his eyes are. There's something definitely.
It is the eyes. I'm with you. My eyes are instantly drawn to his, because I think they don't look right.
Yeah.
But he too has baby hands. Right, super tiny, skinny hands, skinny fingers. But even there, like I said, I mean, there's just some Kenobi's eyes look too dark and evil. It's there's a shadow effect that comes in because of his brow that just does not make him look like Mr. Hello There, I Have the High Ground. So
yeah, that's definitely the issue. It's it around his eyes is too dark, and I think it is the And who knows, like maybe it was like the angle they took this picture at, which like caused the shadow.
Yeah, I mean that can happen, but it's like every shot of Obi-Wan. I didn't pull down all of them. He gets a very distinct shadow. And I think it is. I think they made his brow a little too pronounced.
Too big.
It's like a cliff there. Sense. So I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a nut job. I'm a collector. Jesus, I'm gassy today. A lot of my collecting, at least when it started, was on stylized stuff. The chibi type, big head, small body. These guys with their very angular, sharp features. And the soft spot that I have for Clone Wars. I mean, a lot of times, Nick, collectors collect because it's a way to, I don't want to say pay homage to a show, but kind of give us a tangible connection to a show that we love and we want to be remembered. We want to remember it through the figure. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah,
when I look at my collection, or why I went to buy the Bad Batch, is like I like the show, I like the characters. This is my way of honoring that passion.
I mean, the one piece of like collection that I did it wasn't even like conscious collection. It's like I subscribed to the Firefly Loot Crate for a long time. And that was my way of remembering the show, because like obviously if you watch that show, it's been gone forever, and then they had the movie. But like I love Firefly, and it was great. And like I would get this box in every couple of months that had all these little tchotchkes and trinkets in it and stuff like that from the show. So yeah, I definitely understand that mentality. It makes total sense.
Yeah, I don't know. These ones, and no one in the chat is moving on these, so they probably aren't of interest either. But both these guys, I believe, are going for $255. And they get a lightsaber and a few hands, so accessories are limited. But I mean, that about seems like the price these days for these figures. The Luke, I believe, is $330 for deluxe and $285 for regular, so you might as well go deluxe. And that's why I love Trevor, because even though he's in here like getting ready to burn this Luke figure, he's like, I'm still gonna get it. So he can get the Dark Trooper. I mean, that's what I said. And that's kind of one of my little. And see how we work. Trevor's the same way. We give ourselves ins, even though we don't really want it. We'll always give ourselves. We'll leave that door cracked just enough to where we could spend that money that we don't need to spend. But I'm with him. It's getting the Dark Trooper top, and the fact that it is a technically different Luke than Return of the Jedi. Probably the best idea that you've ever come up with was to have for Sideshow or Hot Toys or any of these fucking toy makers to just sell accessory packs. And like, I don't understand. Yeah, I mean that's 1/6 shooter. I'm not going to steal his thunder on that, but I would fully support that movement if he wants to run on that platform for some form of public office. Because I do. It's like, come on, man, just sell us most of us assholes would probably spend $150 on an accessory pack for another head, another outfit, and a couple weapons. So
yeah, I mean,
well, the 1/6 shooter says that these are cool, but he's not a CW fan, so I guess this is him trying to push me over this ledge now. So he's given me the nod, like they look pretty good, but I just don't like the franchise. So that's him saying they look good, which means if you like them, get them, Matt. Spend that money that is not mine. So thank you, Trevor. I appreciate it.
There you go. You have the sign off. I mean, if you're a fan of the Clone Wars, I would say at least the Anakin.
I am. God damn it, you're doing it now too, Nick. See, all you cocksuckers.
I'm not going to buy shit.
No, but
your money.
What you're saying, you're an enabler, just like everyone else in this part of the Star Wars time show universe. For the most part, outside of Nick, we're all enablers for each other when it comes to collecting. So. But they're all these the Mando Luke Hot Toys, and then the Sideshow Clone Wars Anakin and Obi are all available for pre-order, and I believe they're all 2022-2023 release. There he's still going 1/6 shooter. God knows I don't need another Anakin, but you might, Matt, and he's right. I only have if we can't count Vader as Anakin, and I only have the Revenge of the Sith Anakin Hot Toy. So there is reason number 3 to to get the animated Anakin. It's almost, if I get to 5 reasons, I'm going to do it. All right. There we go. Star Wars props. If you're a real fan, you should get it. You cocksuckers. Every one of you guys.
Everybody likes to spend other people's money, right?
I also think a lot of these guys had prior careers in pushing drugs at some point in time, because they're all good at this enabling talk here. You're just like, do it.
Yeah.
Do it. One more hit. It'll make you feel good. All right, buddy, it's time to round on third into home, which we know is the fan segment. That's right, the now infamous, some call it iconic, Star Wars Time Show fan segment, where we take upwards of an hour to do nothing but blow smoke up our fans' asses with the hopes of them liking us more and possibly convincing other dopes to listen to the show. So as we do it, we usually start with the fan question of the week, and throughout the run of the Bad Batch, we've just been asking the same question of the week. What did you like about the most recent episode? And so that's what we're dealing with. We're going to be fielding questions or reading responses from our fans. If you want to get involved, make sure you're following on at Star Wars Time Show every Tuesday morning. I'll put out the prompt, and you can leave a reply in our stories or on the post itself in the comment section. But this week, the question was, what was your favorite part of the latest episode of The Bad Batch, the finale, part 1? All right, Nick picked the responses, so I'll let you take it away.
All right, first up is Johnny Osage Ave, our good friend, recent podcast guest.
That's right.
He says, the conflict between Hunter and Crosshair, they know they're brothers and would have each other's back, but one is Cain and one is Abel. You get it from the Bible stuff, Cain and Abel. The fact that his chip was removed and is still the cold-hearted, and as a matter of fact, makes for an epic antagonist in the series. Yeah, it does. I can't read. For some reason, my brain just
Yeah, I was gonna say. Usually, we're reading people's bad grammar. That was just Nick tripping over his tongue.
I was like, I haven't.
I was gonna ask him hey man, did you have a stroke or something?
Are you okay? Yeah, it's like, are you okay? No, I just can't read. So Johnny, the conflict between Hunter and Crosshair. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. It's like I said, to me personally, it felt very Obi-Wan Anakin on the platform of Mustafar. That whole exchange when Crosshair kind of made the pitch to his brothers, like, listen, I just showed you guys I'm not with these assholes. I want to be with you. So it was great stuff. Good dialogue.
Yeah. All right, next up, and I'll try to do better with this one. It says, this is from SW Black Series Clips. He says, this is hooked on phonics. This one, real slow. There were so many great parts in this one.
the whole scene with
Crosshair and the BB was amazing. But my favorite scene was seeing Kamino destroyed. Those quiet moments as it panned around throughout the facility, and then Tarkin giving the orders were badass. Long live the Empire.
Damn straight.
Long live the Empire.
I always loved them too, at least for the way they looked. I rooted for the good guys, but they definitely were always better dressed and had cooler vehicles and toys.
They did. They also had way more money.
Yeah, true.
That's true. You think the Rebels are going to be fucking banging around the galaxy in a Star Destroyer? They can barely afford X-Wings.
Right. You just got me stuck on hooked on phonics worked for me now. And how big that was in the 80s and early 90s and all the comedy skits that came out of it and in the shirts, hooked on phonics worked for me spelled out, and it's all, fucked up, spelled with numbers and letters backwards.
It was fucking wild. That shit was crazy. Yeah. All right. Lima 4 says, I wouldn't call it a favorite, but it was definitely moving. The destruction of the city/facilities at Tipicoa City. That was pretty crazy. All the nostalgia just came rushing in, and I got goosebumps all over when they started doing a little montage of all the familiar spots within the cloning and training facilities before the Empire started blowing it all up. Sad face. Yeah. I mean, it was, like Matt mentioned during the breakdown, it was literally this is the end of an era. Mm-hmm. This scene here is the demarcation point for Clone Wars era versus Imperial era.
It was a, and it's a weird term to use, but it was a beautiful way to annihilate Tipicoa City. It was, just from a storytelling perspective, it was in Lima. I can tell he kind of felt the same way I did when that montage of the city was being shown right before it got blown to bits. But it was like this kind of a, hey, this is an end of an era. The page is officially being turned on the Clone Wars and the clones themselves. I mean, at this point in time, no new clones can be made. The facilities are destroyed. We know they're going to the Empire, and based on their results, we know they don't quite have the skills that the Kaminoans did, even though they stole one to help them. Because as we discussed earlier, you're not working with the best cloning scientists in the galaxy if the first few rounds of Palpatine's clone came out looking like Snoke, who was mangled beyond mangled, like tall, big head, gashes in his head, fucked up face. I mean, the guy looked like he got stuck in a trash compactor, for Christ's sake. So
yeah, I know. Yeah, they definitely have a long way to go to get back to that. Like, maybe you don't blow up all the facilities. Like, just
maybe shouldn't have killed all the Kaminoans. Maybe keep one or two others just in case.
Yeah, it's oh man, Nala Se.
One thing I did,
as much as I thought she did.
One thing I fucked up, and I fucked up even in episode 1 because he showed up there. But the droid was it AZ1 or AZ3?
Yeah, the one. Yeah.
He was actually the droid with Fives that figured out about the inhibitor chips in the Clone Wars. I completely forgot that he was the one that helped Fives figure that out.
I definitely did not. Yeah,
so he's a pretty main player in the cloning world, at least, and it looks like at least at the end of part 1, he may become a new member of the Bad Batch family.
I was gonna say, like, he's gonna become their droid now.
Gonk's gonna be pissed because I mean, she used him for some energy, maybe tapped him out, and now they're gonna be replacing him.
Yeah.
All right, up next, buddy.
Next up, Rebel Clone Commander 7567. That's Rex's designation. Says, we finally find out what becomes of Kamino. Also finally seeing Crosshair team up with the Bad Batch. I mean, like, the Kamino question was kind of open because technically nobody really knew where Kamino was except for Kenobi, and then now what is the Empire?
Well,
because, like,
dude, I'll tell you right now,
off the records and stuff.
Based on Dr. Pershing, in my head a year or two ago when we learned about him, in my head, I saw visions of him working in Tipicoa City. So
yeah.
So I never thought that they just blew it up, but here we go. I mean, again, it nothing that major, but it's these little lore nuggets that kind of help to fill in the picture for people like me. They're obsessed with all the little nuances. Most normal people can probably watch Star Wars and just be good with the big tentpole stuff. The main threads. I get excited when we see the fucking lab where Boba Fett was cooked in. It's like, big deal in the end, but I like that type of stuff. That's why I loved, kind of shift in franchises after watching LOTR, going back and rereading all of Tolkien's unfinished tales in the Silmarillion, because it started to fill in some of the stuff that was explained in Lord of the Rings and the ages that came after that stuff.
I mean, hey, just a heads up, this is a tease for 2022. Matt and I may be doing an LOTR time show because that's when Amazon's
I could get into that. Maybe we just tack a segment into this so we're not eating up another night of work. But okay. Did you see that still? Was that a new still that released for it?
Oh yeah, that one that just came out.
Yeah, like a few days ago. We're talking about the Amazon produced Lord of the Rings or Tolkien series. It's not going to be. It's set in the second age.
They're going to call it Lord of the Rings, but it is. It's set in the second age and is mostly going to be.
Sauron should still be in elf form and.
Yes,
all this other
that's
stuff.
Going to be. It's literally going to be probably the story of the forging of the Rings of Power, at least. Initially, as the overarching narrative.
Like if you're a nut like me and you've read a lot of that stuff. I mean, a lot of that's I believe Silmarillion covers some of it, but Unfinished Tales do. And just all that stuff is, if you want to just see what it was like when people were actually highly skilled and creative in entertainment, read some of Tolkien's Unfinished Tales, where you can see where he was working stuff. Because a lot of the Unfinished Tales would either become finished tales in LOTR or Silmarillion, or even his son Chris would try to finish some out. But I mean, the guy had ages, like centuries worth of Middle Earth lore, all fleshed out.
He had shit like first age, like he had
first, second, third age, and then even beyond the third age, I believe.
Yeah, he started the tool with the story in the fourth age, which would be like after Lord of the Rings.
Correct.
And tried to like come up with a story that was basically Aragorn's son taking the throne, but he literally said, like, after I started writing it, I realized that there was only one way that this could go if you're trying to tell an interesting story, and it's basically of like warring factions between the different men, between like Middle Earth and then like the Far East and stuff, and he just thought it was boring, and he stopped writing it. So no, I mean, I'm excited about that too. Anyway, last question for this week. He said, this is from RLG 619. He says, now we know why Camino was never talked about again, and we know where Omega was created in in a secret.
My type of fan. They're getting excited about just the little stuff that ultimately means nothing, but to us it helps to paint a better, more clear picture of Star Wars and some of the events we've heard about or didn't hear about, but events that shaped the original trilogy and beyond, where some of the content coming out on Disney Plus is going to live in. And don't sleep on what's happening in Bad Batch and it having an impact on Mando or Book or any of those shows. Filoni's not an idiot. A lot of this stuff is now being woven out for years worth of stories and crossing over decades down from when these stories are being told. So I'm excited to see when the live actions come back, to see if we get any touches on the events of Bad Batch, at least from a galaxy perspective. I don't know. I just have a feeling they're going to have to waste the Bad Batch in the end. Sadly, I think they're either all going to fizzle out just because of their genetics, or maybe they'll ride off into the sun, never to be heard of again. But that'd be kind of silly. Yeah,
it doesn't look good for the long lasting life of the Bad Batch. Also, I guess it really doesn't. Like at this point, I feel like the accelerated aging thing for clones, they've just kind of almost abandoned.
It's a bunch of bullshit. They called Rex out for looking a little more wrinkly, but feels like he's 100 by the time Rebels comes around. I know he's not, but he technically probably is, because they're not normal people. I mean, they essentially come out of the tube, and within, I think, 5 or 10 years, they're fully functioning adults.
Fully formed. Exactly. So I don't know if they've now edited that narrative to be like, oh, they're only acceleratedly aged until they hit maturity, and then after that.
Remember, they are Clone Force 99. There were specials, so they didn't get that. Just like Boba and Omega. I mean, it's easy to write it out. I'm not going to become one of these people that get all worked up over that type of shit.
Yeah,
because in the end, like you said, I mean, we have plot holes all over the place, especially with the cloning stuff and the fact that Palpatine's trying to clone Force bodies, and he literally has his own Force blood and his chosen one's Force blood, but for some reason, no good.
It's sorry, you can't use any of the Force blood from the literal chosen one.
Right, that just wouldn't work for some reason.
Those are off limits.
Okay, but hey, we love you, George. We love you, Dave.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're moving into the final segment of the show, the favorite segment, at least for our artist friends out there, and that is the Top 5 Star Wars Fan Artist Features of the Week. And just to give you a lowdown before we get into it, just in case you want to play, if you're new here, the Top 5 is chosen every Monday evening by my friend Nick, after I spend the previous 7 days unloading upwards of 12 shots on our Instagram account at Star Wars Time Show that people have either tagged us in or used our hashtag Star Wars Time Show. I love it when you do both, but either method will work and allow me to see your shots. That way in the morning when I'm scrolling through them and I look at one and I'm like, damn, that looks good. it'll be featured on at Star Wars Time Show. And it will be in the running to make one of Nick's top 5, which, like I said, he picks on Monday, and then we discuss them live here on the show. We show off the shots on the stream. We heap praise on them. And sometimes we try to steal their thunder by talking about ourselves. All right?
Yeah.
So, or at least I do. So, yeah. Nick, let's lay it on me here. Who are the top 5 for the week of 8/2 to 8/9?
So the first person in the top 5 this week is at TX Carlo, and he uses figures that we rarely see, or at least I rarely see in toy photography. He actually uses the droid bodyguards, Grievous's bodyguards here. Yes, the Magna Guard. From the Clone War, or from ROTS, and he has 3 Magna Guards fighting against Darth Maul, who is wielding a single-bladed red lightsaber and the dark saber.
Oh yeah.
So I thought that like the concept for the shot was really cool. So it's like outside, there's a lot of like dust and atmosphere being kicked up. It's a very action-oriented shot. So all of the Magna Guards have their electro staffs ignited, so you get to see that purple energy kind of.
Yeah, they're like 2 of them are lunging towards Maul. Maul's just kind of sitting there like, bring it, Nick. These are the little boys, by the way. These are the
this is 3 and 3/4.
Yep, 3 3/4 inch. So that's what makes this even more impressive. But I think we featured at TX Carlo on here before.
Yes,
to me, he's within the top 3, if not the best. I call them small scale Hasbro figures, but the Star Wars 375 movement, he is hands down in the top 3 of Star Wars 375 action figure photographers. His ability to make these things not look like tiny figures is amazing. Yeah. His ability to create dynamic looking action scenes is amazing with these tiny figures. And his effects work is always top notch. So at TX Car, like I said, one of the premier 375s out there. Kingdom of Weird's another great one. Force Dad Photography is another banger. I mean, he's someone that prints out his dios and takes really great shots with small scale. But just looking through at TX Carly's page, I mean, look at this one with Ahsoka diving at us.
It's I was going to say that most recent Ahsoka one is
brilliant.
Wild. It's really good.
And Nick, it's all indoors, by the way. I believe he shoots all indoors, which is even more impressive.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking incredible. I mean, he is a really top notch.
Always shows his setups too. So this is one of those other artists that is very giving with their process and how they stage a shot. Doesn't mean you'll be taking shots like at TX Carlo, but you'll at least have an idea of how these scenes are staged and how they go from looking like a stage scene of toys to these very action-oriented, dynamic-looking toy shots.
Dude, like he's got a fucking crazy one. If you scroll down just a little bit from that Ahsoka shot, he's got one of the 3 droids, so BB-8, R2, and C-3PO, and he superimposed a galaxy map over him, and he built this dio that's just insane. Like, this shit looks directly out of a movie.
Yeah.
Like, it is insane.
No, it's I mean, like I said, at TX Carlo is a must follow if you're not following. I assume at least our diehards, they're all following him. I mean, he's one of the more known 375 accounts out there. But if you're not, now is your reminder to follow him. I need to address Trevor again in the chat.
He's got an Imperial sympathizer.
Yeah, he's kind of got a point, but I guess I'll bring up a counterpoint. So what he's saying here, he's saying, I just thought about this the other day. The Republic cloned men and stole their childhood, while the Empire employed hundreds of thousands of people, and the Empire was bad. So here is my comment on that. Remember who actually commissioned the clones.
Yeah, so technically that was still the Empire.
It wasn't really the good guys. It was our buddy Sheev, working his deal with tricking SWTS into whatever that shit was. I mean, that still to me has never been explained.
Not very well done.
SWTS and Sidious. When I first heard SWTS, I'm like, Yeah, what? Are they like
It's
trying?
like,
Is that like
a
another?
mistake?
Is that another nickname for Sidious, or is George really telling me that was a guy? And it sure as fuck was. There was a SWTS. But yeah, I guess that's my argument or my counterpoint to that, Trevor, is that the Republic technically did not get that party started with the cloning. That was a Sith operation that the Republic did support once they knew it was out and about. But at that point, there was already a 1 million strong clone army built because of SWTS and Sidious and Dooku and Jango. So
yeah,
I guess if we want to, get real life on Star Wars, there's my real life take on that. But it is a point to think about. It's the same thing with the Rebels and the Death Star, right? A lot of people always bring that up, like, the Rebels were a small faction. Sure, they were getting picked off, but they blew up an entire battle station full of 1 million people, and some of them were probably just plumbers, right? Clerks, that type of deal. So.
The clerks, the clerks.
There are these conversations to be had in Star Wars, 100%. So thank you, Trevor, for that prompt. Now back to the top 5, but don't forget about following at TX Carlo. All right, Nick, up next, buddy.
Next up is at VinFaith Custom, and he has just a really solid 1/6 scale, like you said, setup.
Right.
But it's just so clean. Like, it just looks so clean and crisp that, like, I look at this and I'm like, man, it's one of those shots that doesn't even look like toys. So we see his 2 scout troopers on speeder bikes kind of hanging out in what looks like a Tatooine alleyway. And that's basically the whole shot.
And here's the crazy thing, especially for someone like you who doesn't own 1/6 scale, but I mean, it's essentially a 12-inch doll, right? I call them Barbies because scale kind of lines up. I actually got a real Barbie, by the way. Does anyone remember when they did those Star Wars themed Barbies? They're like $100.
Oh yeah.
My dear mother, for my birthday, got me the Darth Vader one. And some of you may laugh at it and think, I'm a little odd. It is one of my favorite pieces at this point in time. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to pull it up. You need to see this shit. I'm going to pull it up. It is
Star Wars. I see it.
The Star Wars Darth Vader.
Vader Barbie.
Look at her. Isn't that just a brilliant looking little art piece?
That's such a cool concept.
There you go. That's what I mean. It's just like such a unique take on the character. I know it's a woman. You manly men don't get upset. I understand. Vader's still a man, a manly man. But when I got her in person, she went right out of the box, right into my glass case, quicker than even a Hot Toys goes. Because to me, that is a true piece of art right there. Look at her. She's beautiful.
Yeah, that's really fucking cool.
She also looks like Johnny Depp's Willy Wonka, but I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go with
that. The glasses, for sure. Like those big-ass bubble glasses.
Well, I mean, here, 1/6 shooter's still going. He wants to keep this going. So now he's saying, so the Jedi were just following orders. I mean, yeah, based on their hubris, they technically were, right?
Yeah.
And the rest of the Republic, well, they didn't create the clones, so we can't blame them. Like I said, the army was already there. The Palpatine had the separatist threat coming. It was a perfect.
You also
it was a perfect ruse.
This,
like he had them all tricked. Like all this was he perfectly played the Republic to make them look like shitheads, as Trevor is saying.
But also, like there were well-known dissenters among the Republic senators, so much so that they formed the faction of 1,000.
Yeah, I mean Mon Mothma, Padme.
Yeah, like the beginning
Bail.
of the rebellion, which was known as it was something like faction of 1,000 like senators that essentially were opposed to the action that was happening with the war against the CIS.
And the Jedi were definitely assholes. Like they were, and that's why they failed, because they were so full of themselves. And we're always doing the right thing. We're protecting the Republic. If this is what they need us to do, even though we're not warriors, we're going to go out and kill a bunch of fucking people, or droids at least. I don't know. It's fun talk, Trevor, but we're going to go back to the top 5 now that I've shown off my Barbie. See,
you're wrong, Trevor.
I told you, everyone. So I'd somehow make the fan segment about myself for the show, and we're doing it. Or we'll blame Trevor. He's kind of breaking things up too.
Egging us on. All right. So
but back to this, Nick. At VinFaith _customs 1/6 scale shot. knowing how big these are, I believe my Scout Trooper is going to show up tomorrow. I am guessing that the speeder bike itself is probably close to 2 feet long.
Holy shit.
All right. It maybe a foot and a half.
Yeah.
Maybe a foot and a half. So they're massive. Then you have to consider the scale of the dio and the setup. So he's got 2 of these fucking things, or either shot the same one and kind of layered the other guy in. But just getting the dio to scale to these massive figures, that is what impresses me the most about this shot, is just working with this scale of figure and getting them to work with a practical diorama, because not a lot of 1/6 scale people will do a practical dio because of how fucking big they have to be. The Passage to Alderaan had another great shot with a practical 1/6 scale dio, and he actually shows the dio off. It's the cantina booth where Han sits. It probably goes up to my waist.
Wow!
As a shorter man, it probably goes up to my waist. So good setup. Like I said, it's just an overall good setup for a 1/6 scale figure shot from @VinFaith Custom.
100%. So @VinFaith Custom on Instagram. Go give him a follow. All right. Next up in top 5, we have @TheNonArtistic. I think this might be I don't know. You would have to confirm this. I think it might be a first and first. But what we see here is, it looks like AOTC Anakin.
Yeah. Yep.
And
you're right.
He's walking through like a field of debris, but in the background of the shot, like superimposed in the background, following him is like this large looming shadow of Darth Vader.
Right.
And I just thought it was like a really fantastic.
I love it too. Love it too. Super cool concept. Like I said in the caption of the shot we shared of it from the non-artistic. It is. It's kind of like one of those foreshadowing shots for Anakin, but instead of having Vader like just standing back behind him like a lot of photographers have done, the non-artistic kind of went for a different approach, and it's like Anakin's future self is mirroring his movements. He's walking alongside of him. It's Anakin probably right after he just murdered all the Sand People. It's the first time he tapped into his Darth Vader alter ego, and now that ego, that id, is walking with him. He now has that character within him, the ability to be a Dark Lord of the Sith and a murderous bastard. So I was with you. It was the concept. You know, I guess we'll call this a high art toy shot, right?
It is a very artistic piece in terms of like the thought put behind the image and what it will evoke for people seeing it. So I just thought it was a really cool idea and really good execution by @TheNonArtistic. So good job there. Next up, 4th in the top 5 is @Uncanny Figures. I mean, this shot is just really
Mr.
awesome.
Movie still himself.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, really awesome just in terms of like execution and how close this looks to like you said, like a real fucking movie still. So what we see is the armorer welding on the signet.
It's a scene recreation from season 1 when he gets his Mudhorn signet.
Yeah, from like getting it welded onto his armor. And I mean, it's for lack of a better term, picture fucking perfect. Like, he's got like the welding little tool. Sparks are flying off of the armor from where it's being welded on. I mean, the lighting itself is perfect. Like, the light just kind of blowing out right at the point where the weld is happening. The kind of like the overall warm kind of orange tone to the entire room, because you remember that from the armorer's lair in season 1. The posing is perfect. I mean, overall, like, this is just fucking mind-blowing.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about Uncanny Figures before on the show. It just, it's an account, and I believe he was on, is like, I think I don't get that much love because all my stuff looks like official ad material. Like, people think I'm just, copping official product marketing shots. But I mean, the guy is a digital artist, and you can tell. I mean, any shot on his page just looks professionally done. Yeah, professionally done. I mean, they're just from the lighting to how he composites the figures into the scenery. I mean, a lot of these are all composites. Like they're probably shot on a white background or whatever, and then it just plops them in perfectly. Like look at this shot of Boba Fett in The Slave One. I mean, it's another movie still. It does not look like a toy, and it is. It's the way he can light and then get these figures into these scenes. Like there's no way Uncanny Figures has a Slave One cockpit, right?
Yeah,
he just doesn't.
Like
there's no way, but he somehow compositive Boba to look like he's sitting in the fucking cockpit perfectly.
Yeah, fit perfectly in it. I mean, it's pretty fucking crazy, man. He's a magician when it comes to stuff like this and fitting these characters into realistic environments. It's pretty amazing.
One of my 1/6 scale favorites, because that's all Uncanny shoots, and really everything is. It's just it's damn near perfect in terms of a quality sense. And that's the same for this shot here. I mean, it's, as Nick said, it's a full-on scene recreation from The Mandalorian, and nailed it. Atmosphere, lighting, poses, effects. Yeah,
beautiful work. At Uncanny Figures on Instagram. Make sure to follow. And last up in the top 5 this week is I like these cute little bits.
Of course,
here. I think this is from at Fallen Apprentice, and is this an egg? Like, what kind of figure is this?
Nick, I'm not going to say it right. I think they're Nenandroids or Nenandroids. Is it Nenandroid?
Okay.
Anybody like when the chat catches up to the stream, is Nenandroid the proper pronunciation for this Luke Skywalker farm boy figure? Thank you. Move on. All right.
But essentially, what it is, it's a chibi version of little
100%, definitely chibi. You're right on that. It's chibi.
Yeah, and he's standing outside of his little Tatooine hut. You can see a moisture evaporator off in the background. The twin sons of Tatooine in the back as well, and he's standing on the sand. It's just such a good shot, and it's in like. Yeah, you could say like, oh well, scale, blah blah blah, because he's bigger than the hut.
I was just gonna say, to me, Nick, the fact that Luke is bigger than the Lars homestead just plays into the chibi aesthetic. Like that makes sense to me, because they like even with some of the Funko Pops, they would be bigger than the vehicles they came in. It's kind of the same concept. So I actually think the smaller scaled props just adds to the chibification of this shot. Nendoroid is what they're called. Thank you, Devin.
Yeah, from Devin.
Nendoroid.
I just like the shot itself, just like outside of the chibi aesthetic of the character, which I enjoy, it's just well executed. Like the lighting is really well done. The atmospheric effects are well done.
Well, you know what? This could be a Cos Baby too. I know Hot Toys has a Cos Baby line. I just don't know if Cos Babies are posable.
I'm gonna pull up his page. Okay, I'm on his page. I opened it. It says Nendoroid.
All right,
so it is that, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a well executed shot, and like you could put in another figure. It doesn't have to be this Nendoroid shot into this setup, and it would still work perfectly well. So I like the figure itself. I like the setup. I like the suns that he catches in the background. It has like a very perfect.
Hey Nick, I'll go out on a ledge and say it. It's just fucking cute. It's a cute shot.
It's cute.
It's a cute shot. I mean, that could be the best way to describe this. It's not the most manly way to describe it, but who cares? It's a fucking cute shot of Luke.
It is cute.
It really is.
And you're right. That's the perfect way to put it. So yeah, I really liked it. I really like Fallen Apprentice work. I feel like he mostly works like with non-Nendoroid figures. If you look at his page, you see a lot of like standard, like I guess you would say like 1/12 scale stuff. He has a lot of different focuses, but this Nendoroid one really
there's another account who does a lot of these with Star Wars figures, and I love her work too. And off the top of my head, I'm probably gonna fuck up the handle, but I think it's like sandrabell.blog. Sandrabell.blog. But she also shoots shots like this with the chibi style figures and really great detailed setups. I mean, that's something even the pop community has gotten into since I've retired from it, but creating kind of chibi looking setups for these things, or detailed scenes, dios, whatnot, versus back in the day, most of us pop photographers would just sit them outside and try to get some bokeh behind them to make them stand out. I love it. I'm with you, man. It's just, it's just a cute ass shot. That's it. Plain and simple.
Mm-hmm. No, this I have Sandra's page pulled up, and you nailed it. Sandra Bell BLL.blog.
Look at that.
I mean, she has some fucking fantastic setups.
I'm gonna pull it up now while we're talking. Give her a little credit here.
Yeah, no, there's some. She's really good with the.
Yeah, her most recent one, I definitely considered featuring this one, the pizza, Grogu trying to steal the pizza, stepping on Chopper's head.
Yeah, no, that's.
But yeah, look here. She's got the Luke and R2, or she's using a Luke and then a Hasbro R2. But like I said, building nice little dios. She got Cloud looking at Grogu in a tube. Just, I mean, quality page. I've become a personal fan as well as a show fan of SandraBell.blog on Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not really following her back? What the fuck's wrong with us? Right there, I just took care of that. There you go.
Live follow back.
Done.
Good stuff. So that was at Fallen Apprentice with this cute Luke Nendoroid shot. And that's the end of the show. Woo-hoo! So Matt, this is the first time that we've done a duo show in a while. So close us out, bud.
Hey, you know what? This is also the first time we did a duo show under 3 hours. So
I know, right?
Good for us. Good for fucking us. But sorry for the paying subscribers. Oh wait, we don't have any. Just keep using that SWTS code at manscaped.com to get 20% off on free shipping. And as you heard in this week's ad read, some new territories have been opened up. So we would appreciate the continued support. Like I said earlier, you all pulled together, SWTS Nation, the Fandos. Got us through July and got us an August contract, and it helps. I mean, I sent the figures to Nick. It fully covered our AWS fees for July, which there's another reason it fully covered that, but I don't really want to get into the woe is me stuff again. Let's just say we're suffering a bit over the summer.
Summer slump.
I don't really know if it's a summer slump, more if it's just a SWTS fatigue, but either way, we've lost more than half of our audience. I'll just leave it at that. Close to like 70%. So it is what it is. We'll keep going. We'll keep talking. You guys keep us getting sponsors. So at least those of you that stuck around, you're in it. You're in it for the long haul. You're the type of people we like. But as Nick said, the show's over. It's time to say goodbye, and we know it's time to do the end of show shimmy, shimmy, shake, which I haven't done in a while. If you're on the live stream, you're seeing those moves right now. I'm getting my extra plump man breasts shaking after a vacation of eating. They're a little more full than they used to be. But we do the shimmy, we do the shake to go over to StarWarsTime.net. Because if you are new here, just in case, I doubt there's anyone new listening at this point in time, but if you are and you want to get linked in, StarWarsTime.net is your platform to do so. Why? Well, that's where all our content is at. So throughout the week, if we have posts to put up, if I do my video breakdowns for comics or Star Wars programs or trailers, they'll be on StarWarsTime.net via our YouTube channel, which we also want you to subscribe to. So like I said, head on over to StarWarsTime.net. If you like the podcast version better than the live stream, I don't blame you. It's not like we're good-looking people. We're made for radio, as they say. We have those links as well. Subscribe to podcasts. We got all the major platforms. All we ask, if you are on a podcast platform or even YouTube, interact. Podcasts, leave some ratings and reviews if you can, or if you haven't done so already. It's huge. It's how they determine where podcasts are listed when people search for podcasts. And the same thing on YouTube. If you're not subbed, please subscribe, hit that like button, leave a comment on this stream if you're listening now, and also tag that little bell. Turn on notifications so you know when the show goes live each week on Tuesdays and when our other video content is released. There's always time for Star Wars time, okay? I don't know how many times I've said it. I'll say it again before I leave you today. But that's why we do it. That's why we need you over at StarWarsTime.net. That's why we need our loyal fans. We love you, and we know you've done a ton, but we're always going to ask for more. Share it on your own profiles. Put it in your stories when the show's going live. If we say something interesting, post it out there on Twitter, on Instagram. You never know. You never know who's going to see it and potentially go down this rabbit hole and drink the Kool-Aid that is the Star Wars Time Show. All right, my friends. It's been great being back with Nick. Sadly, we only have one more show together, and then he's leaving. So we don't typically tease future programming, but next week I'll be here with Nick. The week after that, the 24th show, we should have a huge guest from the toy photography community. I'm going to leave it at that, but we're also going to have a co-host for the 24th from the community, someone that has been on the show before, someone that's got a nice deep voice. But we will have some special auditory tones coming at you on the 24th because Nick is taking a little bit of a break. All right, so put that on your calendar. Big interview coming up on the 24th as long as schedules are maintained. We'll also have a special guest from the community getting through the show on that day. All right, always time, my friends. There is always time for Star Wars time. And don't forget, if you listen to the Star Wars Time Show, the Force will be with you. Always.